How far your support can go at unbound.org.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is Hour 1. Schaefer and Sliwa back on this Monday afternoon here in America's finest city. Good show lined up. John Schaefer, Alan Sliwa. Kevin Acee was just in Mexico City, I think, this morning. And I think the schedule, Alan, with the Padres has changed this afternoon. What they'd refer to in baseball, you don't get this in other sports necessarily. Mm-hmm. What they'd refer to in baseball as a show and go. Show up, stretch, play. Does that happen in the NBA? No. You don't just show up 40 minutes before the game and get on the court. You don't show up 30 minutes before a game in the NFL and play an NFL game. But because of the circumstances and the travel and leaving the country and returning without an off day, Padres are going to play tonight against the Cubs. Alex Cohen, Marquee Sports Network, calls Cubs games, will join us at 5:30. But Kevin will join us coming up at 3:30, Alan. We were just talking about it in the crossover. A lot of different angles, honestly, off the weekend. Overall, a 5-3 trip. It started in Anaheim like a lifetime ago. They go to Colorado. They go to Mexico City. And I am with you. The more I think of it and the more I hear you talk about it, there is a little bit of that like bitter taste or like, what did we watch play out yesterday? That's not who the Padres are, losing a 7-1 lead. And that's exactly what they did yesterday in Mexico.
Okay, so I think there's a little bit of, obviously you end up watching the Padres this year. They've been phenomenal. I don't have much to complain about at all. And frankly, 1-1 in a 2-game trip in Mexico City, okay with. They're all good, no problem. But yesterday, and this kind of applies perfectly towards, let me tell you what the Padres, they have a little bit of margin for error to say, we can blow a lead every once in a while, right? They've came back. They did it on Saturday. They come back from 4-0 down. We've talked about them 4-0 down to the Red Sox. We've talked to them 6-0 down against the Mariners. This happens, right? Like, this is unbelievable that the Padres have played so many good games. But I don't know what to tell you. Yesterday's game, afternoon game, to be up 7-1 the way they were, and just how they lost, it was funky. It was Cronenworth and Xander bumping into each other. It was Tatis getting thrown off with thrown out at second with 2 on, or getting caught with 2 on and nobody out. Manny Machado at the plate, who's already hit 2 home runs. It was Stammen, whether you want to call it leaving David Morgan in or not going to some of his true the power of that bullpen that he could have gone to. It just, like, it's not a big deal. But I did kind of end, Sunday, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to a cousin of mine, and we're usually texting throughout the game. He's like, well, yeah, that didn't really go as planned. And I try to remind myself 101 is actually good. Mexico City, playing out there, obviously so many different circumstances that can happen, and it happened against the Padres, but all good. Just a little bit of taste in your mouth that you wish, obviously they just handled business yesterday.
To your point, and the more we talk through it, the more I am on, like, in your corner, so to speak. To your point, it's like I made this point a week ago with you. I'm like, listen, if they go 3-2 at elevation, Colorado, Mexico City,
that's right.
But they hit, I will excuse it. So on one hand, I'm thinking to myself, well, did they hit? They scored 10 runs in Colorado in the series finale. They struggled to score in the first 2 games, but they won the series 2-1. Okay, I'll take that, I think, in general.
They go to Mexico. I forgot about that comeback, too. Down 8-5 going into the ninth.
Exactly.
Yep.
And trailing 8-4 in the 8th inning. And then these last 2 days in Mexico, they scored 13 runs, which isn't nothing. But again, they had like a 15-run game the last time they were there 3 years ago. So I don't know. Part of it is like a gentleman's agreement or kissing your sister or whatever cliche you want to use. But here's my caveat, where, again, I would have taken the 3-2 if the bats really came to life the last 5 games. I think they quasi came to life. But again, you have to consider Fernando Tatis Jr. as part of that conversation for me. I'm all for 3-2 if yesterday Tati hit 2. Like, that's my opinion. If Tatis yesterday hits 2 in a 12-7 loss, I take it because I hope it ignites him. Now, Machado, to his credit, hit 2. Hopefully that's beneficial for him. But I never really doubted his ability to hit 27, 28, 29 home runs.
Yeah, our concern continues to be with Tatis.
Yeah, I'm left continually scratching my head, Alan, even more so now than I was 5 days ago, because I'm like, what on earth is going on with Fernando Tatis Jr., and what is it going to take for him to hit a ball over a wall in fair territory? When is it going to happen? And I just don't know.
The biggest problem with Tatis right now, he's just got to get to 1. And honestly, I think there comes a point where he can very well end up getting in a groove, because we've seen it. And this doesn't have to be a guy that's hitting 40 home runs. We can go back to last season. You've mentioned this a couple of times. April, September. I mean, he's had months where it's like, okay, hey, I got momentum. Maybe my swag is back. Maybe mentally I'm in the right place. And all of a sudden he starts hitting. But getting to 1 is his problem right now, because I think until he gets his first one, and you and I are not having a conversation about this, and people don't have to say every time he comes to bat, yeah, but he's hitting the ball super hard. And, all these other, I don't know if you want to call it excuses. You and I have spent the last 2 weeks talking about this, and it's like, all right, well, he's going to hit one against in this homestand. Okay, well, of course he's going to hit one against Colorado, or when they're in Mexico City. I think Anaheim we threw in there in the mix as well. He's got to get over that hump. He's got to get 1. And that's just kind of one of the storylines that came from the weekend, but it certainly is a storyline as well.
Yeah, it is. And listen, I don't know. I didn't realize that the open of the show was going to go where it went, but I said, assuming the Padres aren't a historically good team, because they've never won more than 98 games. I'd love to see it. Maybe there'll be a year in there where it happens. For example, right now they're pacing to win 67% of the games. Incredible. Now, we know how baseball works. It's hard to do that. And I made the point, I think, on Friday or Thursday last week, where I'm like, assuming they don't have a historically good year, what is it that gets them in their first rut? And I hope it wasn't yesterday blowing a 7-1 lead, because to your point, they've been built to actually do the opposite, or maybe not built, but they've done the opposite. They had 5 comebacks in April where they overcame 4-run deficits or larger. The only team in baseball to do that this year, in fact, the last team to do it in baseball was the Philadelphia Phillies in 1998, overcoming 5 4-run deficits in April to win. The last team to do that was in 1998. So, again, I was thinking on Friday, what is it they're going to send them into their first run of the season? And I hope it's not yesterday, because that's just not who they are. To your point, I don't think they truly went for it. We didn't see their what I call the A-team relievers. Not that we saw bad ones. I mean, Bradley Rodriguez is very good.
Yeah.
David Morgan has the ability to be very good, so on and so forth. I just hope that isn't the moment, taking on this Cubs team that's won 10 of 12. Now, they lost 2 straight, but they won 10 in a row before that. I just hope yesterday doesn't start what I was kind of predicting might play out at some point for the Padres moving forward.
It's weird timing, because I think that, let's put it this way. They win tonight with Randy Vasquez on the mound, and they're taking on a good Cubs team, because that's what the Cubs are. They're very Cubs look like they're going to be a challenging team in the NL. Then I think we're just going to go back to, man, playing in Mexico City is wonky, right? There's no way of predicting a W or a loss. Maybe a 7-1 lead at Petco Park is much different than obviously a 7-1 lead in Mexico City. And let's just let's chalk that one up to where they played, and that's it. You leave it alone. But if they lost 2 or 3 to the Cubbies, and you feel like, oh, you know what, that game in Arizona, we'll have to see how the rest of obviously these next couple of games go. But the Diamondbacks game, let me ask you this, and this I think is a very fair question. I love the idea and the concept of playing in Mexico City, but there are advantages and disadvantages. I mean, even we were talking on Friday before the show. They're not set up for the ABS system, and you can't challenge balls and strikes when you're in Mexico City, at least at this specific stadium. Obviously, we know what the elevation is and how easy it is. A lot of those, even the Machado home runs, they weren't belted or anything like that. The Grand Slam definitely wasn't belted yesterday as well. Do you like the idea of playing international ball? And let's just use Mexico City as an example. That's a place that you're going to play once every couple of years. Or is there also enough of this is a weird place to play, obviously play a 2-game set?
I may be changing my tune on it. And maybe it's recency bias based on what played out yesterday. I was literally there, as you and I have discussed 3 years ago, and really enjoyed the trip and the experience in the ballpark. But I remember going into the ballpark being like, this is home run derby. I mean, there's a reason why baseball isn't. I mean, they've complained about playing in Denver for 30 years. And this is played 2,000 feet above, the Denver elevation, right? Over 7,000 feet. This is like playing a game in Laramie, Wyoming, which is just insanity. I mean, it's like playing on the moon. Not really. So on one hand, I understand spreading the game, and I think it absolutely draws attention and eyeballs, and there's a lot of marketability to it, and there were a lot of Padres fans in Mexico. On the other hand,
that scene was phenomenal. That scene was
on the other
really,
hand,
really cool.
Are they glorified exhibitions? Like, should they be Cactus League games? Like, is this really what you want to do in regular seasons? I could probably go either way on it. Again, they've got a Mexican League team that's the equivalent of AAA baseball in Mexico City, the Red Devils. But I don't know. I honestly don't know, Alan. Again, last time 7 home runs, and then this time blowing a 7-1 lead, and the circumstances that allowed it to play out. To your point, the grand slam that's like hit 280 feet anywhere else, and then the ball that was chopped on the infield than any other infield in baseball. It doesn't go over the first baseman's head, but did there. That to me makes it a little hokey. Maybe it's crying over spilled milk.
So I love the idea of Mexico City. I love the idea of the international play. I love the idea of wearing the city connects out there. I love I loved everything about it. The only thing I hated about it is I didn't plan better and book tickets to go to Mexico City and enjoy it the way you did a couple years ago. Yeah. If they would have won that game 7-4, are you having a different conversation? Or
yes.
So
it's crying over spilled milk.
Yeah. So basically, you just are mad at your team, and it has nothing to do with
maybe. But you agree? Do you agree? The grand slam, you turned it on literally when it happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
brother, that thing was
don't
hit.
Leave yards like that.
Yeah. That's Laureano's catching that before the warning track. There wasn't even anything.
What about the triple down the right field line that's just like pounded into the ground and like bouncy balls over the first baseman down the right field line?
Yeah, I thought about you pay a quarter and you get all those bouncy balls that come in. You just kind of get them. I'm like, what is this? Like, what are they trying to get out there? I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think both squads obviously have to deal with it. I think it's better. The promotion is worth the headache because you watch MLB Network go around and there's a lot of people that know, obviously, Padres and the Diamondbacks were playing in Mexico City. I think it was a really, really good pub for the Padres. I remember last week you were telling me that, hey, how can San Diego, and maybe there's never a time that this can happen. You don't need to be Mexico's team. You just got to be on the radar. And if over the last 5-10 years, that brand is growing internationally or it's growing in Mexico, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think you need games like the 2 games set in Mexico City to help this brand of San Diego. And even if it costs you an L, at least both sides got to deal with the same thing.
I like the way you position it, truthfully. I really do.
Well, thank you.
I think that if they won that game yesterday, honestly, I don't think I'd be referencing it or I'd be upset about it. So you're probably right. And it's probably just overreaction on my side. But I'd love to hear from our listeners. What do you think? Would you like to see the Padres continue to play games in Mexico City or just internationally in general? They've played so often outside the States now over the last 3 or 4 years. You can text us 70470, start your message with the word team, or call us 877-767-4760. What did you make of the weekend in Mexico City? 877-767-4760, or text us 70470, start it with the word team. Was it a blown opportunity for the Padres this weekend in Mexico? Plus, Kevin Acee, our Padres Insider, will join us coming up at 3:30 here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday with the Bonus Bucks contests. Listen every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up soon on San Diego Sports 760. And I think if I'm right, John, this comes directly out of your paycheck. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, I don't know if I can say that technically, but I would like legally, to say that.
Right.
I would. Yeah, exactly. Legally,
yeah.
I don't think if you took $1,000 out of my paycheck,
you don't even know. It's like
it's a lot like the Ohtani situation. Where it's just like I'm just losing track of the money. There's so much of it. Am I overly concerned about it at this point? It's just everywhere. It's getting in the way. It's in boxes. It's under beds. It's just everywhere.
You ever thought of that? It's like you got these guys. Steve Ballmer is worth over $100 billion.
Where is is it in a checking account? Is it savings? Like, how is it invested? Right?
I have no idea. Like what?
Can you imagine?
You're right. What if he like goes to the bank and he's like, guys, need to pull some cash out. Like, how much cash do you want?
Has he ever gotten the overdraft email? Like, hey, that's a good point. No funds here.
That's a good point. Or no, you were just charged $25 because you've transferred over 4 times this month.
Dude, imagine opening your banking app and seeing like all these zeros. Like, some people have like, okay, you got a couple grand. Maybe you're saving some money. Maybe you've got, $10,000. You got stuff from home. You have 20,000. Imagine seeing like $200 million.
I've got a better comp here. You go, we all kind of have one of these, right? Go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the restaurant's more expensive than you thought. Then you're looking at, maybe you're paying for a couple of people and you're like, wait, what did they get? Did they get a double shot? Okay, that's double. Okay,
right.
That's
a lot of money.
Yeah, what did they have? They had a glass of wine. That's apps coming, all this stuff. And you think when it's all said and done, you're like, damn, that was a lot more money than I intended to spend. You think Steve Ballmer ever looked at his bank account and gave a flying you-know-what about how much came out? That you can never tell.
It's incredible, and that's not necessarily the situation I'm in. So iHeart will give that money away.
They'll give
it won't be Schaefer and Sliwa. Kevin Acee is going to join us, Alan, in about 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. I will say this: we touched on it briefly. Manny Machado hitting 2 home runs. As you and I have followed Manny's career, obviously in San Diego closely, when he gets going, he'll have a 2-week stretch where he's really going. I'd love to look back at yesterday, again, albeit in defeat, and say that got Manny going. He even said it post-game. I don't have the audio, but he said, hopefully, I'd like to think this is the day. He's like, I have hit the ball hard. It's been at guys, not necessarily the case here today. So I'm hopeful. I'm sure Padres fans are optimistic that maybe yesterday carries over to this homestand that begins tonight.
Yeah, I pause too. I think just like we continue to say, the games were in Mexico City, and you got to understand that this isn't a regular. Again, it's not like he mashed the ball 440 feet, and everybody's like, yeah, he just got a hold of that one. But there's a mental aspect of it too. I don't care whether you hit a home run in Mexico City or even David Morgan, you could kind of look back and you could say, even his outing, right? You could say, no matter how you look at it, whether you did something positively or negatively in Mexico City, it will get to your head, right? Tatis wishes he hit 2 home runs in Mexico City and can say, well, it was just Mexico City and he wasn't able to. So for Machado, can he build off of it? Is this something that he brings to San Diego at Petco later today and in this set against the Cubbies?
And then I will say this in general. Some of these pieces on the edges don't always get the most airtime on radio, like maybe not the sexiest pieces. Luis Campusano has been very good for this team.
Balling
right?
out.
And Ty France.
Yeah, yes.
Again, he hasn't necessarily been an everyday player, but there was a lot of discussion whether he would make the big league roster to start the year. And now he's certainly supplanted himself on this roster. So those things are encouraging for me. Again, Machado, Tatis, Merrill, like these are the things you hope will be there over 162. But the pieces you weren't sure about, they've given you more than you probably could have ever expected.
Well, you tell me who deserves this 18-9 start for the Padres, and it is guys like Luis Campusano. Ty France hit a couple on Saturday. Camposano has been clutch for the Padres. Laureano, I know, is kind of a little bit back and forth, but he's been very consistent throughout the season. Xander Bogaerts, you don't care how you get to 18-9. You don't care how you get to this start of a season. At least I don't. I think it's important just, stack up as many wins as you can. But it is a lot of, Gavin Sheets has some of the best highlights for the Padres this season, and it ain't even close for what he's been able to do. And the most recent one against the Rockies, the 3-run homer against the Padres, a 10-8 lead. So there've been a lot of studs for the Padres that aren't making big time money outside of a couple of the guys. And you're right, there's just as much value as that as there is of some of the big guns that haven't delivered.
We'll have Kevin join us, Alan, in about 5 minutes. But real quick, we didn't even talk about this, you and I. But I don't know if you noticed this. I'll ask Kevin about it. Jose Feliciano and part of the ownership group, I believe Kwanzaa Jones, in the ballpark in Mexico City, as that transition becomes more like tangible and evident and clear, obviously. It's kind of nice to put, faces with names. This is becoming the next iteration, obviously, of Padres ownership, right?
Critical iteration.
What's that?
Critical iteration. Like it's everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like just to go off of what you just said, that you're right, that you could say that chapter has now begun. You see new ownership at a game. You see new ownership wearing, obviously, all their San Diego Padres gear and everything else. A new chapter of Padres baseball is in the process of beginning. And we all know how new ownership could be the greatest thing, or it could be something that holds the franchise back. We're going to go with the greatest thing in this regard.
Fingers are crossed. We'll talk to Kevin Acee about the trip to Mexico City, what happened on field and off field as well. He's back. And in San Diego, as the Padres get ready for the Cubs tonight, game one of that series, coming up in about 3 hours. Kevin Acee, our Padres Insider, joins us live next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. The Padres and Cubs are getting set to start their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Matthew Boyd going against Randy Vasquez. First pitch is set for 6:40. We got 3 more games in the NBA playoffs tonight, starting at 5 o'clock when Detroit takes on Orlando. And then at 6:30, OKC goes for the sweep of the Suns. And at 7:30, we got Minnesota without Ant-Man and Dante DiVincenzo takes on Denver at, like I said, 7:30. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or to drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
All right, great to connect with Kevin Acee, who has had quite the trip here over the last week or so, from Southern California to Denver to Mexico City and back here to San Diego. So, Kevin, we appreciate it. How was the weekend in general, on field, off field? What was the experience like in Mexico City over the last couple of days?
You have to appreciate the vibe. Like, it's really cool, as you know, John. Like in the ballpark, it's amazing. It's fun. Sort of baseball. And, it's neat. It's an interruption to the players. It's an interruption to me. It's an interruption to the organization. But it's like a really, really cool thing, if you know what I mean. Like, it's both of those things at the same time.
Kevin, just worth the, I don't know if you want to call it inconvenience, heck, this just for the product and to take the game to Mexico City and getting a chance to see. Looks like there were so many Padre fans that were out there, but at the same time, you can hit a ball 280 feet and it could be a home run. The ball could kind of bounce in some interesting ways. The value of kind of weighing those two.
Yeah. Look, as you guys know, like, everyone has a play in it. Michael King did a fantastic job. Just like, Randy Vasquez did a great job in at Colorado, and you can do it. And did David Morgan kind of get jobbed? Yeah. He also, served a fat pitch to the number 9 hitter for the Diamondbacks. Did the Padres get jobbed more on the bounced triple and a couple of the homers than the Diamondbacks did the day before earlier in the game? Yeah, maybe the Padres did, but okay. I think it's worth the inconvenience to most people. It really depends on who you ask. Among players or whoever, they would rather play all their games in a place they know where it's, fair, right? Where we don't need WRC plus. Everyone's playing the same game, but that's not the way it is. And so it's a lot of fun. It's good for the Padres. I would argue they've become, at least in portions, the Dodgers had a big head start. They're gigantic. The Yankees are big, but I would argue the Padres in some parts and in Mexico City have become like the team of Mexico, and that's a good thing for the Padres.
Kevin Acee is our Padres Insider, is with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. I want to say Manny said post-game, we'll see the impact of hitting the 2 home runs yesterday on what it means for him as he heads. I mean, there's no bigger change, obviously, going from elevation to Mexico City to, Petco Park, which can be a challenge, obviously, for hitters, and has been historically since the ballpark was built. What do you think the value is for Manny having a day like yesterday? Because you've seen it firsthand. I mean, he can get going, and sometimes it starts with a game like yesterday.
Yeah, 2 things is if players believe something, then I give value to that, right? Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come true or it's true, whatever, but I give value to that. So if Manny believes, then we'll see. But he did say, we'll see, because Manny knows where he did it, right? And also he knows he hasn't done anything yet. Now, I think he had 2 hits the day before, or maybe it was on Thursday. This trip was interminable. He had been getting hotter, but not that hot where anybody who's ever watched him for any amount of time goes, oh, man, he's about to take off. It's not that yet. If it happens tonight where he gets 2-3 hits, he's lining some balls to the gap, to the right center field, you might go, okay, we've seen this before, and you can maybe expect that you're going to get another 2, 3, 4 weeks of that. Quote Manny. We'll see. But people had been talking about it for a few days. Manny had said he was feeling good. He doesn't talk. He doesn't give details on what he's working on. He had said to me that in Colorado, when I was asking about a couple pitches and this, that he was feeling good. And other people in the organization said, just wait. This is the work he's doing and then we'll look at this pitch. And so the people that look at it much deeper than us, had been predicting this for a couple of days. So maybe that's a good sign.
Kevin Acee joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show, of course, our Padres insider. Kevin, those same people, what are they saying on the Tatis front? I think if we use these, John and I kept setting this up here. They're like, they got 3 games in Colorado, 2 games in Mexico City. I might hit one. Tatis doesn't hit one. What's some of that chatter around Tatis?
Yeah, this is unbelievable, to be honest. Like, this is crazy. And I've spent like so much time writing and talking about Tatis this season on this topic, and I'm kind of flummoxed at this point. And I think kind of everyone is like, how has he not just gotten slightly under a couple more of these balls? They don't want to mess too much. They don't want him to become this guy that is, trying to pull the ball, because he's not really getting those pitches to do that on. I'm not saying he hasn't missed a couple, but I would argue, and I'm trying to work on something right now that talks about this and him as a part of the Padres as a whole, how they're being pitched. It's fairly complicated. Plus, with a game every day, it kind of changes. They haven't faced quite the quality of pitchers they were facing, but they've got some good ones coming up. So maybe I'll get to it. He is pitched incredibly difficult. I mean, like they do not want to give Fernando Tatis Jr. anything. And I do think that's different. And there's just a lot of good signs, but then also like, wait, how much is this like, oh, great, he's going the other way, he's hitting the ball hard. Let's say he gets his average up to 270, but he's got like 16 home runs at the end of the year. Is that really what you're paying? What is it? I forget what the average is now. Right now, he's only making $20 million. But is that really what you're paying $28 million a year for on a very team-friendly contract? Or maybe not, but it's a nice contract if Tatis reaches his potential. I would pose that question and say that the answer is no.
Well, to further that conversation with Kevin Acee, how do you read into the advanced analytics? Like, you go to his Baseball Savant page. You've heard this so many times. I'm sure you've written about it. It's on social media everywhere. He hits the ball hard, right? X, Y, and Z across the board. Yet I look at his OPS plus. So his on-base plus slugging compared to other major league hitters, it's 77. He's 23% worse than the average major league hitter through 27 games. How do we justify that or to explain that away?
Well, because we're a month in, bad luck is how we say, and or largely we can say that now. I can't tell you that definitively. Like, that's why we gotta let more time pass. But like right now, I can say that all of his expected numbers, that his batting average on balls in play, the fact that he's lining out. I haven't looked in the last few days. There was a time where it was like, yeah, he had some hard grounders, but that's not really what he's doing. He's lining out, hitting some fly balls, getting Petco parked. There's just an abundance of things where it's like it's not working out for him. And yes, it's bizarre he hasn't got under a few balls. But yeah, I don't know, other than at this point, they don't want to mess with what he's doing. Because aside from, I would argue, I know it's very easy for anyone to look at what he did and to just see his numbers and see that he's not producing. And then to see some of the at-bats he took in Colorado and then a couple in Mexico City and go, oh, yeah, he's just not into it, or he's flailing or whatever. He's not. Yes, he has, and I wrote about it. He had some of his worst at-bats in Colorado of the season. Maybe a little frustration setting in. In my opinion, in the last couple of days, he rebounded. That said, I mean, it was mind-boggling he did hit a home run in Mexico City. And I would say that I can only think of one. Maybe there was another, but he didn't really even come close except for the one I'm thinking of yesterday.
Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. Yesterday was such a kind of wacky game as it was. They go up 7-1. You feel like they're in a great position, obviously, sweep this series against Arizona. It doesn't happen. We've seen the Padres obviously come back in many games this year. They get a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. does this series or maybe just tonight specifically against the Cubs, obviously you got Vasquez on the mound, does it become a little bit more, I don't know if important is the right word, but just coming off that loss, you had a little bit bad taste in your mouth, and now you're taking on a Cubbies team that's been playing some good baseball?
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, yes, and maybe, but no, because like they were going to come home and play the Cubs anyway at sea level, right? Like whether they won yesterday or not, and whether, whatever. Manny's 2 home runs helped them win. His 2 home runs, one of them might have been a home run anywhere else, and one might, probably wouldn't have been. Whether David Morgan got away with that, whether Xander, or I should say Jake Cronenworth, ran into Xander Bogaerts, they were going to have to come back here and play the Cubs anyway. It was going to be tough, and I just don't buy into that. However, let's say they get swept or they lose the next 2 or 2 of the 3. Like, you can't say no that, but these guys are 19. Is it, I don't even pay attention to the record at this point, other than to know it's the 3rd best record. They're half game behind the Dodgers. I think it's 18-9. Yep. It's the 2nd best record, tied with 2022 in Padres history through 27 games. I mean, like they lost a game yesterday that almost certainly they would not have lost anywhere else. And maybe I didn't explain enough. I always look back the next day, or not always. Sometimes I'm just, hit it out of the park. No, I'm kidding. I look back, I go, gosh, what should I explain more? Like, they didn't chase it yesterday. Jason Adam or Adrian Morejon, who pitched the day before and have pitched a lot, were not going into a game in the 8th inning when they have David Morgan and Bradley Rodriguez to protect 5 runs at that point? A 5-run lead. Like, that would be asinine, because they played at altitude. They play 3 more games without a day off. Like, I get the idea, like, that you would chase that victory. I do. I mean, I get it, but it's like, it was so obvious to me why they wouldn't that I didn't even ask about it. And that's my fault sometimes, where it's like, I'm a little too familiar maybe. And then maybe sometimes I'm wrong. I'm telling you today, I'm like spot on that, like, the Padres had enough to win that game yesterday. The fact that they then lost for us to then second guess their reliever usage, to me, is just like typical media and fan stuff.
Real quick, Kevin, before you go, do you have the information? Because it's one of those games where it's like the show and go, right? They're not taking the BP. When did the Padres get back to San Diego? Because, again, without the off day, it's kind of unique coming out of Mexico and heading into a series the next day.
Yeah, it's funny that it's not that much further, right? Like, gotcha. It's 1,400 miles. So, they'll come back from Chicago and play the next day, but it was a long trip. It's that altitude for a week. Like another country, you do have to go through customs. Their customs is better than the rest of us. But, it is unique. I can't say, because I'm just now getting the ballpark, whether it's a true show and go. But I'm telling you, like, everything is later than – this is like visiting team time. Like, this is way later, like an hour back. So it's a modified show and go and that's fine. You know what? The Padres do that, and teams do that and win all the time. Don't take batting practice, right? Just hit in the cage, do some grounders, or don't, whatever. Ryan Goins and Nick Punto out there working with some fielders for like 5 minutes, and boom, boom. All right, now we're ready. And then they go out and they get 10 runs off Matthew Boyd. Would not, that happens all the time. But yeah, they need a little bit of a rest here. That's a lot West Coast teams get screwed all the time. But hey, the Cubs played yesterday too. When you go east to west, you play the next day. They do have Thursday off. So yeah, but it's a tough one.
But to your point, it is baseball, and anything can happen over the course of 162 in baseball. Nothing should be surprising tonight for the Padres and the Cubs. Kevin, appreciate it, and get some rest tonight. Thanks for doing it.
Right on. See you guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Let's react to some of what he said, including about bullpen usage. Plus, we'll turn our attention to San Diego State in the transfer portal and SDFC on the soccer field. That and more ahead here until 6 p.m. on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 with you until 6 p.m. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, just under 2 hours from now, Alex Cohen, Marquee Sports Network, calls games for the Cubs. He'll join us to talk about Chicago's good start to the year, 17-11 overall. They had a 10-game winning streak snapped against the Dodgers this past weekend.
Freaking win.
Yes. See, I mean, it's so crazy.
What's going on? Padres lose one game, and all
game.
of a sudden they're out of the NL West. They're looking in second again.
They've been playing baseball since 1969. It's been a while, right? It's not their sixth year. It's their second best start through 27 games ever. You know what I mean? It's not
Raise
like
that bar, damn it. Raise that bar.
They didn't come to be they're not SDFC. They didn't start last year, where the second best start in franchise history isn't as impressive. 18-9, and that's still not good enough. Now, again, I mean, we're on the margins, Alex. It's a half game, obviously, but Cubs have played well. Padres have played well. And this is actually a pretty compelling series to start the year that gets underway tonight.
Yeah, and again, the complaining, nobody's complaining about the 18-9. Really, nobody is. We're joking more about the. I mean, I again, you and I were just hitting on it. We're prepping for the show, and you're like, yeah, I think they're now half a game behind the Dodgers. I'm like, half a game behind the Dodgers. I'm like, wait a minute, they lost one game. Like what?
I know.
What stretch of games did they lose? And the Cubbies, obviously losing 2 to the Dodgers. So, yeah, however you want to look at it, still think it was obviously a phenomenal weekend. Obviously, the start for the Padres is great, but I think there's something to this Cubbies series. I think this Cubs series, if you take 2 or 3, you're feeling phenomenal, and it's like, yeah, you know what, 7-1, you lose that. They come back. That's just a tank of a loss that you just get over and move on. But you lose 2 or 3 or maybe something worse than that, then we'll see how much the tune of our conversation changes.
Is there anything we're still waiting for in terms of, I do want to get into what Kevin had to say, by the way, about the bullpen and the usage.
Yeah.
But are we waiting to have a firmer opinion on the Padres until, let's say, a 3-game series against a good team like the Cubs? They just played a 2-game series against a good team like Arizona, but it was in Mexico. Or do you wait till they play the LA Dodgers, for example, who are a half game better than the Padres? Is there a moment in time we're waiting for to make our first true assessment on where they stand?
I don't know. I don't think you could be 18-9 and play 27 games and be, a bad team right now.
I agree.
So I don't have to sit here and say the NL is running through the Padres. I don't have to sit here and tell you that. Let's say they played the Dodgers 3 games and they swept them all 3 of the games. It still doesn't mean the NL is running through the Padres. So I think that you can have some benchmarks. I get it from a competitive perspective. A lot of people are sitting back and they're saying, Padres have got off to a good start, but some of the teams that they've played could be the Red Sox. It could be San Francisco. It could be Colorado. You've already faced, 7 times so far this season. Houston, Anaheim. Okay, I get that, but the Padres can't control that. And I'd rather you get off to a good start. We know in any 4-game set, you can lose all 4. You can lose 3 games to 1. It could be the worst team in baseball or the best team in baseball. So I think the 18-9 says something about the Padres, and it doesn't have to say that they're the team to beat in the NL by going 18-9.
Switching back to yesterday, what Kevin told us. Again, some of these high leverage arms in the Padres bullpen have been used a lot because they're good. And when you win 18 games, you're protecting leads.
100%.
And they have good arms outside of their top 2 or 3. It's not like the whole team is predicated on Mason Miller, although he's gotten the headlines, right? You have pitchers like Bradley Rodriguez and David Morgan that are going to have to prove their worth, obviously. And I think they have by and large. What did you make of what he said there? As in, should they have just gone for it, so to speak? Or did they go about it the right way, considering their lead at one point was 7-1 and even 7-2 after 6 innings?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask. I'm going to watch a game and I'm going to be so stuck in that game. And I'm saying to myself, just go grab the W and let's move on. Right. Now, of course, I'm not telling you to go bring Mason Miller in the 7th inning for, a 9-out save. That's not my point. But there is a piece of me yesterday. I'm like, why aren't you using your arms? Go for the win. Even when they were up 7-6, the grand slam is hit. Right. And it felt like you can stop the bleeding, and they weren't stopping the bleeding. And not that they were trying to lose that game, but clearly they were saying, we need other players to step up in this situation because we're not going to go to, Jason Adam, or we're not going to go to some of these other stars for the Padres. But when you and I are watching a game, if they give Manny Machado a day off, I'd be like, do you need to give him a day off? If they give Tatis a day off, it's like, why don't you have Tatis in the lineup? We're not managing 162 games. I think what Stammen has done so far, he's kind of set that precedent of, I need these guys for the marathon. I don't need them for the sprint.
It's interesting, like Steven in the chat, who's a loyal viewer, by the way, and we're on YouTube, just search for Schaefer and Sliwa, is like, without those 5 amazing come-from-behind wins, the Padres are 13-14. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, without yesterday, where you blow a 7-1 lead, now I get it, that's only 1, and you've had 5 in the other direction. I wouldn't call all 5 of their wins so improbable that they're 1 in 100, because it's happened 5 times. So they deserve credit, is my point. Now, maybe 1 is random in there, but I think this loss is random in there as well. So I don't think they're a 13-14 team. If you want to take a game off them and say, hey, there's a comeback in there they're not going to get later, and they're a 17-10 team, not an 18-9 team, okay. But I don't think it would be fair to be like, well, without the come from behind wins, they're not very good. Well, they get credit, in my opinion, for coming from behind to win like they have.
Yeah, I always thought, and I think you and I, our expectations coming in the start of the season, for me, it was hover around 500 and see what you have, see what areas you need to improve on, kind of have a scope of what the NL looks like, see if AJ Preller does something before the end of the year. They already went out there and got Lucas Giolito. Obviously, Pivetta getting injured changes a lot for the Padres and what they're able to do for these next couple of months. 18-9, is that a much better record than any of us thought? Sure. Do they have some comeback wins that are a little bit out of the ordinary? Sure, absolutely. They're going to have plenty of games in a 162 game stretch. We're also going to say, well, they should have won that game and they lost. Don't things just even themselves out?
Yeah, completely. I completely agree with that. 18-9 heading into this Cubs series that gets underway tonight down at Petco Park. Alex Cohen, Marquee Sports Network, calls Cubs games. He will join us coming up at 5:30. But we'll get to the wrap on the other side. We'll turn our attention to the Aztecs and SDFC as well coming up. And, of course, the Padres, hour 2 of Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760. And live on the iHeartRadio app is next.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. Padres and Cubs are getting set to start their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Matthew Boyd going for the Cubbies and Randy Vasquez going for the Padres. First pitch is set for 6:40. We got 3 more first-round games in the NBA playoffs tonight at 5 o'clock. Detroit takes on Orlando. At 6:30, the Thunder tries to sweep the Suns. And finally at 7:30 tonight, we got the Timberwolves without Ant-Man and Dante DiVincenzo take on Denver. Tip for that one is at 7:30. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Schaefer and Sliwa on this Monday afternoon. Alex Cohen, he works for the Marquee Sports Network. They have Cubs games on their network. He calls Cubs games. He will join us coming up at 5:30 because the Padres and Cubs will kick off a series tonight down at Petco Park. What do you got there on the screen right now? So we are remote from each other today. Not the first time that's happened. I want to say we've done that 1 or 2 other times in the 5-week history of this show.
Yeah, you told upper management. You're just like, I can't do it with this guy anymore.
I'm like, I need to be roughly 3,000 miles apart.
Yeah. Why does he always come in with a tank top and talking about how he can bench 280?
You don't come in with a tank top, do you?
Hell no.
I was going to say, what can you? Okay, real quick.
I don't have a tank top. I don't even think I own a tank top.
Either do I, dude. So maybe we're pretty similar in that regard.
Sure. Yeah.
We're still getting to know each other. We even have a segment on the show that we're doing a couple of times a week, maybe called "What's New."
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you a personal question about weightlifting. So I don't think it's that personal. You don't have to answer it.
Sure. I have a story, by the way, about this.
Yeah. What is that? What are you showing me? Water?
Do you remember when I brought the sparkling water in the fridge and we were testing
you took
the
it
office?
home at the end of the week, right?
No. I didn't touch the sparkling water.
Okay.
There was 8 in the thing.
Oh, and don't tell me some walked.
I'll update you. Go ahead. I had to go in there right now and take a quick look. I'm like, let's just see what the count's at. I'm basically setting a trap for the entire office. I just want to know if people are taking things that they don't own in the refrigerator.
What my preference would be is for the other 7, like you've taken one water out. Let's say there's 6 or 7 still in this 8-pack. Mm-hmm. My preference would be that you have it like so booby trapped that the second they pull it, alarms go off and the police are called and doors come down and prison sentences are handed out. That would be my preference in terms of what you have arranged in the kitchen.
Hand gets caught in the fridge. They can't actually take their hand out of the refrigerator. Yes.
Here's what I was going to ask you. Keep me updated on who steals your water. Mm-hmm. It could be like someone like me. I love sparkling water, but I'm not going to steal it now that we've had this conversation. Are you a bench guy, and what do you bench?
That's such an odd question. I am a bench guy.
Are you a bench guy?
Yeah, you have to be, right? So if you go in, you got your chest day, okay? So you got to do regular bench, got to do a little incline, got to do a little butterflies. So yeah, definitely got
to give me a number. Give me a number.
Oh, like, as far as weight wise, nothing crazy. I don't even know the total. I'll put a 45 on each side. Maybe if I'm feeling good, put a 10 on each side as well. We're not going past that because I'm doing it by myself.
155, dude.
It's not a lot.
That's massive. That's like world record stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I lift the bar.
I say John's proud to do the bar.
No joke, dude. Seriously, the last time I tried to bench,
I believe you. By the way, wherever you're going,
believe it. I mean, look at me. But I'll use like in all honesty, like I'll go to like Orange Theory and I'll just use free weights. So there's no like bar. So I haven't actually done the bar bench
free
press.
Weights are good. Free weights are great.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm so soft with them. I'll do I'll do like 30 pounds,
brother. But what are you trying to prove here? Like you have nothing to prove. That's great.
That's the reason I'm doing 30 pounds. I got nothing to prove.
Yeah, and free weights, I never do. If I do free weights at any point, by the way, I love that people are tuning in right now. They're like listening to us talk about like neither of us have this body where people are like, really, please give me more advice about what happens when you're at the gym. And we're giving our free
I
weight.
see you. Like, I would paint you with the like strong brush.
Definitely not strong. Here's my problem. Here's my issue. I can't stop eating everything lately. So I had a stage here where I was super disciplined. I was freaking eating very clean.
Yeah.
I'm at a stage today where you put anything in front of me and it's like, yeah, what are you going to do? You only live once. What are you doing now?
But my theory is because you and I are very similar in this regard as well. We both work a lot.
Yeah.
We do radio shows. We have other work that we do on the side. You might attend sporting events for work. Or like you're constantly on the go.
We run an insurance company. We sell timeshares. We do we have a little bit of everything. Yes.
Right. We do a little bit of everything. So I think the point is like when you're busy, I don't know if stress is the right word, but I think maybe not sleeping perfectly and you're running around and you're doing work. It's not all like pleasure. You're just like,
just give me everything.
You just eat everything. Everything. I don't know if we'll necessarily get back to that, but anyway, that's what's new with Schaefer and Sliwa.
That is what's new. That's right.
Let's get to the wrap.
That's actually the third wrap question today. What everyone benches.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Guys, Fangraphs projects the Padres to win 83 games. Is that too high, too low, or just right?
Fangraphs has, I'm sorry, say that again. They got the Padres winning how many games?
83.
83.4 as of today.
What the hell happened?
I know.
That scares me. It scares me because what do they know? Like, these numbers aren't just thrown out there, right? Like, there's a lot of context behind it. There's a lot of reasons why they give them that number. That scares me. Of course, that's way too low. They've already pocketed 18 wins. Are we just going to pretend like, I mean, if you told me they were 9-18, not even that. Let's just say they were at 500 right now, and they think they're going to be a 500 team the entire season, I can buy that. If they're 500 the rest of the way, they're well above 83. So, yeah, that's way too low. But that does. I don't know if it bothers me or I'm more curious why they think it's just 83 because that's incredibly low.
Yeah, I agree with you. And by the way, trying to do the quick math on it, has them at 4 games under from here on out, right? Because they're 8 over. No, they're 9 over.
9 over.
It has them at 5 under from here on out to finish 4 over at 83 and 79. So that to me still is shocking to some extent. And to your point, they're not just throwing something against the wall to see if it sticks. It's based on 10,000 simulations is what it is. Now, they obviously don't value the Padres like, a lot of our listeners do, or us watching these games. Plus, they added Lucas Giolito. That was supposed to be a real feather in their cap, worth something. Well, I mean, it's not worth nothing.
I'll say this. We've had a couple of the guests that we've had on.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody's like, yeah, they're playing much better than they should be playing. I'm not here to argue that, too. Like, again, you and I didn't think they were going to jump out to this good of a start, but they did. So don't you kind of recalibrate a little bit of what you initially thought of the team? Or by the way, we could both just be fans of the Padres and are upset that somebody's calling our baby ugly. It could be that, but that seems very, very, very aggressive the other way. 83.5 wins, yeah.
I completely agree. Next question.
What's wrong with SDFC?
Oof, this is going to be a longer conversation, I think, John, because
sure.
I don't have the answer. I mean, this time they lose in extra time. I mean, they finally put themselves in a position where even right now, if you just take a tie, you run with it and you celebrate. And I'm down to go start a parade over at Snapdragon Stadium on just a tie. I don't know what's wrong with them, but there's a vibe that came with SDFC last season. And that vibe is ready to erupt coming into this season. And right now we're at kind of we're at a fork in the road. Either they're going to start turning things around and that energy and that excitement around SDFC will continue, or we might be sitting here in a couple months saying they're so far out of it that there's nothing to talk about in regards to coming to the postseason, really take air out of their sails.
What's the Yogi Berra line? If you come to a fork in the road, take it, which I always thought was a funny one. They've reached a streak of 7 consecutive matches without winning. That's a big number. Because someone tell me the exact number of matches it's changed over the years in MLS. It's in the 30s. But 7 straight winless matches out of 30-something, all of a sudden it's a big number. Even if you told me right now the Padres had lost 7 straight games, I get it's different. They've had draws in there. These are not all 7 losses. But if you told me right now the Padres had lost 6 straight, I'd be very concerned. And they have 162 games to work with. When you're winless in 7 and you're playing 30-something,
damn, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, it's becoming concerning.
That's a 3-4. That's a 3.5 game losing streak in the NFL. You can't
feel good. If your favorite team's lost 3 or 4 in a row, you're not feeling great. Next question. We'll get back to that later. Next question.
Was Friday night's Lakers game the best game of the postseason so far?
Friday night's Laker game, I still don't understand what the hell happened. I'm going to say no. This is why. Sometimes you want to give, I want to give the Lakers a ton of credit for coming back down 6 with 30 seconds left to go, and they don't even have the ball. But the problem is, I've watched the Houston Rockets, sheer stupidity, low IQ basketball for 5 straight games. Yesterday they were good. Part of me it takes away a little bit of the comeback, because what are the Rockets doing? You commit a turnover, then you foul Marcus Smart on a 3, then you immediately follow that up with another turnover. John, what's crazy is they had a chance to win it in regulation, and LeBron's shot barely missed. They almost scored 9 in 25 seconds without having the ball. It was a phenomenal game. It was a great comeback. But I pause on the most exciting only because I think it had more to do with the Rockets' collapse. Obviously, the Lakers took advantage of it.
I texted you. I don't know if it was an overtime or at the end of regulation. I texted others, and I said, the amazing part of it to me was this, that the Lakers were content to play out the 24-second clock with 30 seconds left. If Houston could have just properly got the ball into the front court, they
just dribbled the ball. Just dribble the ball up the floor.
They didn't have some grand plan. They weren't trapping at the timeline. They were content to lose the game. They would have been up 2-1. They would have been in fine shape. They would have lived to see another day. And the fact that it played out in that variety, I mentioned this to you before the show, reminded me a little bit more about how a college basketball game sometimes ends. You'll see turnovers that are inexcusable, but these are collegiate
inexperienced
games.
Sure.
It'll happen. And the trapping in college is much different than what plays out typically in the NBA. Plus, there's not half-court advancement in the college game like there is in the professional game. So the fact that played out like that, I'm 100% with you. I mean, credit the Lakers, but whatever the Rockets did, they cost themselves any legitimate shot, in my mind, to win the series. Now, you never know. But
no, we know.
Honest,
the series ended on Friday.
Let's spend more time on the NBA postseason on the other side, including who is now the favorite in the T-Wolves Nuggets series. Yes, the T-Wolves lead that series 3-1, but they have massive injuries to overcome, including to Anthony Edwards. Plus, we'll get back to the Lakers, SDFC, and San Diego State with a big addition in the portal. Stay with us here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 congratulates all our winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher powered by Donors Choose. There's still time to donate to a classroom project, and your donation will be matched by Donors Choose. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
I just realized, so, I communicate with Brent during the breaks, Alan, when I'm remote. You're there, and if you ever need something from me, he can be like, hey, tell Schaefer this. Or sometimes I'm like, hey, tell Alan, do the read right there. But I just realized I didn't tell that to Brent until we were back from break. So I'm assuming what I just said went over the air. Is that accurate, Brent, or not?
No.
Okay. Well, there. I took people behind it.
You just outed yourself now.
I just outed myself. Because right as we came back from break, I said, hey, tell Alan to do the read. But I thought maybe that was on the air.
Well, and then you drop off the air, you drop F-bombs like crazy.
Left and right.
And again, it's just, I don't know. I feel like you've changed a lot over the last month.
Over the last 20 shows.
Yeah, over the last 20 shows. You've changed a lot. All right, real quick on the count. So let me tell everybody here real quick. I went to Trader Joe's, bought a 8-pack of some sparkling water. I put it in the public refrigerator that we have here. And,
dangerous.
I forgot I had them. So there's a part of me that also, this is on me, right? I don't know if there's a certain amount of time that it's in there. So it's 8-pack. I've only drank 2. One of them I gave to you, one of them to me. So there should be 6 in there when I walked in. Just walked in right now. I grabbed one. How many are left?
Well, now that you grab one,
yep.
One for me, one for you, and then your one today.
Yes.
We should be at 5, correct?
Should be at 5. How many are in there?
If it's less than 5, we're stopping the show and we're starting an investigation in the building.
This is the world's worst SAT question, by the way.
Yeah, this has been a hard question, by the way it was phrased. So, I'm going to say it's 5, Alan. And if it's less than 5, then we're stopping the show.
Brother,
and we're sending emails.
I got a lot of love and respect for this office. Most of the people I don't know yet. I don't know who these people are just yet. It's 5.
Oh, good.
A lot of love for these people here.
And you didn't put the name Sliwa on.
Didn't put anything. Well, I shouldn't have to. We've talked about this. No one should go to work and have to label their Tupperware of rice and chicken. That's your rice and chicken. No one's able to just walk in and say, hey, that looks pretty good. It's been in there for the last week. I'll just eat it.
No, I agree with that. That's well said. But there's something about cans of
This is a little
drinks.
different. Yeah, sparkling water is a little different. It's 5 in there.
So far, do you think that if you leave them in there for another 2 weeks, that they'll remain untouched?
You think so, Brent?
Yes. If nobody touched them yet, nobody's gonna.
But isn't that on me?
Interesting.
If I go 2 weeks without, but again, still, I'm just going to use me as an example. I could use you as an example. Have you ever walked in to a public refrigerator and took something that's not yours? It's very common. A lot of offices are dealing with this, which is why our country is going in the direction that it's going in. It's because of the
refrigerators,
the refrigerator etiquette, the lack of refrigerator etiquette.
I mean, here's the thing.
Should be a bigger news on Kogo right now.
There's unwritten rules like in baseball. I'll give you an example. You go into our kitchen right now, they got free trail mix. They got free Cheez-Its.
Oh.
They have free water, which is very kind.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
coffee
water.
All the time. You want to brew a coffee? They got coffee going all day.
So inside the fridge, I'm with you. It's probably out of bounds. But for example, Brent knows this, and you're still learning this. They'll put food sometimes on the countertops. And I'm just assuming
that's fair
on
game.
the countertop, it's free game.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
The problem is
I don't know when it's unwritten.
Yeah, the unwritten, again, we just go back to it. Just eat your own stuff. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's fair. Okay, let's get back to the NBA postseason. This is a perfect segue. Where do you want to start? Lakers up 3-1. They lose game 4, but again, I think they won the series based on what played out in game 3. You and I agree with that. This Minnesota-Denver thing is fascinating because rarely is someone leading a series 3-1.
Weird series.
And looking at a situation where they might not even be the favorite anymore because of the injuries they're dealing with, including to Anthony Edwards. Would you agree with that? Is Denver, with 2 home games remaining, if it goes 7, could they be favored in a series they trail 3-1?
Bro, I've been barking all year that the Denver Nuggets, watch out for Denver. Look how good this roster is. They're champions. They've done it before. They got Nikola Jokic. Jamal Murray, every time I watch him, I think he's hitting a buzzer beater against the Lakers. I've watched this team over the years, and they added the right mix and everything else. They're down 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and even in Saturday night's game, the Minnesota Timberwolves lose Anthony Edwards. They lose Dante DiVincenzo, a ruptured Achilles. I feel terrible for him. And the Timberwolves still won that game. So I'm with you. There would be a shock factor that Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, who already had home court in this series and obviously lost it, they're down 3-1, if they don't come back and win 3 games in a row with a Anthony Edwards-less Minnesota Timberwolves team. But I've been wrong. I keep kind of trying to sing the praise of the Denver Nuggets, and I'm wrong every time.
Have you changed? What about this idea real quick? And we can hit on this on the other side as well. Assuming the Lakers win the series in 5 games, I think it's very likely, right? If the Lakers win this game in 5 games.
I will just say this. I think they need Reeves back, and I think he's coming back. So
okay, so let's say they get him back and they win. And then let's say they get Luka back, maybe for game 1 of the Oklahoma City series. Like, has your opinion, like, where are we heading? Maybe we're looking ahead, but I think it's fair considering where these series are. Oklahoma City's obviously beating Phoenix. The Lakers, barring some disaster, are going to be moving on. Like, do you feel any differently about the Lakers standing now heading into that series than you felt a week ago, for example?
I think there's a portion of me watching them play against the Houston Rockets that really respects how hard the Lakers are playing, really respects all these players that have stepped up, watching JJ Redick kind of do his thing. And I think outcoach Ime Udoka, Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, LeBron, like it blew everybody. If there's a surprise in the first round, it's got to be Lakers and the Rockets. Maybe make some case for some of the teams. Orlando's doing what they're doing against Detroit. Yeah. But I will say, there's a piece of this that also has to do with the Houston Rockets will walk away from this series as looking as like one of the dumbest teams in the NBA, along with their coaching staff. So I think you give the Lakers a ton of credit, but part of that hesitation is however you will have won 4 games against the Houston Rockets. I don't think you're just taking that and saying, well, if we just do this against the Thunder, we'll be fine. I think the Rockets they're a weird team to watch, and I don't say that in a positive way towards Houston.
No, after watching game 3 in real time, how that played out, and that is something I would never get over. Like, the fact that they even won game 4, I'm like, I would have just
That's your series.
Start packing up my bags, man.
That's your series.
Off-season starts, but yeah, that is absolutely the series for me as well. We'll hit on more of the NBA postseason coming up. In addition, a sign of the times for San Diego State, recruiting overseas.
I like it.
Croatian. We'll hear from Brian Dutcher on the other side. In addition, SDFC, where do they go from here? The highs of last year, the lows of this 7-match winless streak. Plus, Alex Cohen calls Cubs games for Marquee Sports Network. Will join us at 5:30 here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. The Padres are getting set for their series against the Cubs tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Matthew Boyd going for Chicago and Randy Vasquez going for the Padres. We got 3 more games in the first round of the NBA playoffs tonight, starting at 5:00 when Detroit takes on Orlando. Then at 6:30, the Thunder try to close out and sweep the Suns. And at 7:30, the Timberwolves, or at least what's left of them, take on Denver. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change your future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Hi, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. There's a lot to get into in addition to the Padres. We'll get into SDSU, adding in the portal. SDFC, again, winless in 7 consecutive MLS matches. I did want to mention this, though, Alan. The Padres lineup is out, and it does include Fernando Tatis Jr. back at second base, as Jake Cronenworth against a lefty sits. Now, if you've been watching, as you and I have, I mean, Jake has been mired in basically a season-long slump. He's hitting 155. It's hard to hit worse than that. So I wonder, because of Cronenworth's struggles, if he's going to sit more often against left-handed pitching, will we see more of Tatis in the infield? Will that even matter? It's just a general observation. Will we see more of Tatis in the infield? And what impact, if any, does that have on the team or on Fernando Tatis Jr.?
Yeah, it's more a story for us, right? I feel like him going to second base, it's unique. It's different. It was just a couple of weeks ago that he played second for the first time in his career. You take a Gold Glover out of right field. All of a sudden, he has, 5 hits over 2 games. So then we made a big deal about it. But at the end of the day, I mean, let me tell you a perfect scenario. The best scenario is Jake Cronenworth gets his numbers up. And, you know, we don't have to have a conversation about him batting around 150, 155, whatever it is. Obviously awful. And the other thing that'd be great is we don't look at the leaders right now from a home run perspective and see where Tatis is. Tatis is he's with guys that you don't expect to hit any home runs, because literally he's yet to hit a home run. So what this means in the big scheme of things, I don't know. But I think we've both noticed Craig Stammen's done. His philosophy might be different than some of the other managers out there. Like I said a little bit earlier, he's playing a marathon. He's not playing a sprint. He's giving guys off. He's not taxing his bullpen early. I mean, there's clearly things that he's doing that are a little bit more unique.
The breaking NBA news, by the way, I don't know how surprising this is. Cooper Flagg has been named Rookie of the Year in the NBA.
My boy Knipple, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Knipple had a great year.
Great year. Phenomenal year.
What did he shoot from 3? Like some ridiculous percentage.
Stupid percentage.
He had an incredible year.
Yeah. But the Cooper Flagg thing that you just mentioned, I mean, to be the number 1 overall pick, no question about it that he was going to be a stud. And I got a chance to watch him a couple different times. Lakers played them it was right after all the injuries to Luka and Austin Reeves. I think it was probably right after the Oklahoma City game, where, remember, Lakers played the Thunder on a Thursday night, April 2nd. They get blown out. Reeves gets hurt. Luka gets hurt.
That's right.
The first game the Lakers played were the Mavs and Cooper Flagg. For the most part, every time I watched him play, real deal. So that dude is 19, and he's so far advanced of where he should be. Clearly a franchise player. I don't think anybody's got an issue with him winning Rookie of the Year. Yeah,
we've touched on. I mean, this is a story as old as the Luka trade, but considering the trade goes down as historically bad, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see the end result in the grand scheme. What happens with Luka?
No, it's done.
But it's a terrible trade.
The AD didn't even stay in Dallas for more than 29
we don't even know where
games.
he is. He's like witness protection, Washington D.C. Right?
He's in Europe. He's in Europe. He's playing in Europe.
Considering all of that, to land Cooper Flagg, I mean, again, it doesn't mean that Dallas all of a sudden is the best team in the West. We understand the dynamics at play, but he put together a season that leads you down a path that this is the type of player that can help guide a team deep in the NBA's postseason. I mean, how fortuitous, as others would say. You know, who knows the backstory, how that all came to be in terms of their odds of landing that pick. But for Dallas, you lose Luka, but you land Cooper Flag. I'm not saying it makes up for losing Luka, but it could be a lot worse for the Mavericks moving forward.
Well, it's almost like Adam Silver, running a fast break. And he's saying to the Dallas Mavericks, I got you. And a no-look pass over there. He's like, let me just allow Luka over here. I'll throw you a no-look pass and you get Cooper Flag. If you want, by the way, I have become a conspiracy theorist just based off of that. So now you can tag me in any conspiracy theory you want on X. I'm in. You don't even have to tell me about it. I'm in. Only because
do you think the moon is real.
I'm in. Anything, I'm in. I will say this, just the one thing about you're right about you never know down the road. It's not crazy to say this, okay? If Luka Doncic, let's just say hypothetically, never wins an NBA championship, okay? That's not crazy. There's been many great players that never won a championship. If Cooper Flag wins a championship, it's not crazy, right? Like, again, I'm not telling you that this is going to happen. The trade was absurd. It will go down as one of the worst trades in NBA history, but nothing is guaranteed, right? So nothing is guaranteed either way. The fact that the Mavs got the Rookie of the Year the summer after they traded away Luka Doncic in one of the most absurd trades in NBA history, yeah, let's just say they're fortunate for that.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. I want to stay on basketball, but switch gears to the Aztecs. They land a Croatian wing today by the name of Luka Skoric, who is 23 years of age. Mark Ziegler from the UT calling it a sign of the times. The Aztecs this past year ran into a huge number of Euros throughout the Mountain West and just throughout college basketball in general. A number of them were bigs, like 7-footers or 6'10" with size, 23 years old. And it was problematic for the Aztecs. So, they went that exact route, right? Because they weren't necessarily getting through some of these teams, or these teams were causing them trouble. We had Brian Dutcher with us last week.
Yep.
Let's hear what Dutch had to say about international recruiting and then react to what San Diego State did officially today in the portal.
We are recruiting the world. Mm-hmm. So we are international right now. I would not be surprised if we add at least one or two pieces internationally to our roster this coming season. Obviously, details to follow. But we are looking everywhere and anywhere to make sure that we stockpile this team with good kids that are good basketball players.
Just to follow up on that real quick, how much different is the international game?
It's different. The way they play it is different. And we're not talking about B-level teams. We're talking about players off A-level teams in Europe that we are talking to, that we are down the road with. So we are trying to add some of those pieces, not only size, but every position on the floor. So with the availability of film, I say film, but you jump online, you can watch full games of a game that's played in Europe the next day. You can watch every shot a guy takes, every play a guy makes on my laptop. So this is not guessing. This is watching guys play full games, watching highlights, watching defense, watching offense. And so international used to be you had to go over to see it firsthand. Now you can see it every detail of international players. And so it makes the job easier. There's no guesswork. Now you make the calls. You see what kind of kids they are. You have to see what their English proficiency is. You know, you can't have a guy over here and then he can't understand coaching. So all of it goes into it. What kind of students are they? What is their language barriers we might run into if we take a certain kid? And so we are recruiting the world, and I think we're doing a good job of it.
What's your reaction there? They land Luka Skoric, 6'9", Croatian, 23 years of age, and that's what Brian Dutcher told us last week.
Well, a couple things here. Number one, as somebody that, loves the NBA, watches basketball on a night in, night out basis, I think targeting, obviously, Europe is exactly what San Diego State should be doing. I'm not telling you that he's going to come in here to San Diego State University and this is going to be a future lottery pick and he's going to be a top 10 player in the league. But stylistically, I like the way the European game is, and it has had such an influence on what the NBA looks like today. To have size-wise to be as big as he is, and I think I saw shooting 41% from the three-point line. And don't forget, 23 years old is basically a veteran in college, right? Having a player come in and already playing on the professional level. He was just reading this article in the UT. He was in a lineup. He was on a team that had the starting lineup, 26-year-old, 28, 29, 30, and a 35-year-old veterans. The guy is playing with grown-ass men that have been playing basketball for their entire life. I like his style of play. I like what he brings to the table. I got no idea if this whole thing is going to mesh for San Diego State. I love the idea that they're going to Europe. I love the idea that they're getting what looks like a pure scorer and a shooter. I know you kind of retweeted some of his game that you can watch on X and highlights and everything else. I love it. Honestly, I'm getting excited about how they are putting together their roster. We had Tay Simmons on last week. I could listen to that guy talk for an hour. I'm starting to get excited, even though we got a long way to go.
I mean, a 6'9" wing, that alone is appealing. With the Euro skills that you could watch, again, if you go to social media, I think a 6'9", 23-year-old wing. I think if you're an Aztec fan, there's a lot that's intriguing.
And a perimeter player.
Player.
Especially for San Diego State. I love that their foundation is defense. I love that, Dutch was telling us last week that we can always depend on our defense. That's why we stay in games that we should lose, but we can rely on our defense. But you need some scoring in there too. You need some offense in there too. So that sounds like the right addition.
All right. On the other side, has SDFC lost its momentum it gained in year one? Right? With everything they accomplished, getting all the way to the Western Conference Finals, they're now winless in their last 7 matches in Major League Soccer. Plus, Alex Cohen, Marquee Sports Network, calls Cubs games. Padres and Cubs kick off their series tonight. Alex will join us at 5:30 here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Alex Cohen, Marquee Sports Network, will join us. He calls Cubs games. He'll join us coming up at 5:30. Padres getting ready for the Cubs. Brent, correct me if I'm wrong. Do we have 2 giveaways today? Have I buried this lead?
We do.
For an hour and 48 minutes?
Come on, man.
Come on, John.
What is going on here?
Me. That's like me coming in
Yeah.
to a game and just not reading the scouting report. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to drop 16 off the bench here, but I'm playing no D.
Yeah, but there's a little bit there where you don't want to get in your own head. So you're like, I feel like if I start looking at the scouting report, maybe you start overthinking things.
That's exactly right.
You're still going to lose. Right. So let's not do that next time. Let's just read the scouting report.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Alan.
Yeah,
I think we should give away either. We have Santana tickets, which is incredible.
Very nice.
We have Motley Crue tickets to give away. I'm reading this. Oh yeah, it was Santana with the Doobie Brothers. So why don't we do that between now and 5:15?
I like it.
We'll give Santana tickets between now and 5:15, and then we'll give away Motley Crue tickets between 5:15 and 6 p.m. So great giveaways for you. It's all part of the Live Nation Summer of Live, all in $30 tickets to concerts and tons more, April 29th, which is right now through May 5th at livenation.com. It's not yet April 29th, is it? No.
It is not.
It's Wednesday.
Got April 27th right now.
I feel like I'm like Ron Burgundy. Like, I'm just like, whatever you put in front of me right now, I'm reading. Like, no matter what it says, I'm going to read. You made this point to me off air, and it is a really good one about SDFC's kind of first 18-month foray into Major League Soccer in San Diego. Last year, the highs of reaching a Western Conference final, like everything they touched was perfect until they finally lost on their way to an MLS Cup. And then this year, they got off to a really good start. It was very promising, and for whatever reason, over this last month plus, they have not played well, and they're winless in 7 consecutive matches. Can they get out of this hole, and what's the overall impact after all the success in San Diego last year?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just go back to this, and you know, I'll continue to say this. I'm so happy, and I think a lot of San Diegans are really happy to have an MLS team in San Diego. And one of the things that I think was honestly one of the cooler sporting events that I've been to in San Diego, because it was so new last season. And it's at Snapdragon. I think there's a lot of times you're thinking about the land of Mission Valley where Snapdragon was built has some incredible history for the city of San Diego. Obviously, Qualcomm was there at a time. It housed the Padres. Of course, it housed the Chargers. And times have changed in San Diego. So to have SDFC not just come in and be an MLS team that San Diego now gets to represent, but the squad was phenomenal last season. And to go to some of those games, I went to a couple of regular season games. I went to a couple of postseason games. I loved everything about it. I loved the vibe. I loved that San Diegans embraced it. Clearly, such an eclectic group of San Diegans. It didn't matter what you are, ethnicity, all that stuff. It's just a phenomenal melting pot. And I think clearly San Diego or soccer is going to do very, very well in San Diego, and we all know that. That momentum that you had last season, now the question is, well, when you're winning, it's easy for everybody to show up. When you're 11th in the Western Conference, again, still relatively early. We were talking to Darren a little bit last week. Darren was getting ready to come in and do one of his pregame shows and then get ready for the broadcast with Adrian Garcia. It shows you that when the team is really good, what the potential is. But if you had momentum that you obviously wanted to carry into this season, you're going to get to a point here in the next 30 to 60 days where, all right, are you right in the thick of things? Were you able to turn some things around? Or is that momentum gone? And I'd hate to see that momentum go, because I really do mean it when I say it, that it's kind of sacred ground where Snapdragon is, because a lot of the history of San Diego sports is right there. So when Qualcomm goes away and you build Snapdragon, you want to make sure that the best is there for the city of San Diego. And I think SDFC is a great addition, but you're hoping to see them build off what they did last year.
Yeah, like on one hand, they've played 10 matches. And by the way, I did the deeper dive. They'll play 30 this year. They're winless in their last 7. So that's a big number out of 34, right? Over 20% of your season, you're winless here. But on the other hand, you have 11 total points in the Western Conference. You're 2 points. 1 point out of the playoffs
from being in the playoff spot.
But top 9 it's a little bit like the NBA. The top 9 are going to qualify in some form or fashion. I think 8 plays 9, by the way. But anyway, the top 9 are going to qualify. So, yeah, they haven't played extremely well. And it is relatively early. And you're probably about a 2-game winning streak away from being firmly in decent position, picking up something like 6 points. But, again, it's easy for me to say something like that. I don't know what it's going to take to get them pointed in the right direction. That's the part where we'll have to get Darren on, or Adrian Garcia Marquez. Like, what is it on field? I don't know, fundamentally, stylistically, whatever's playing out that has not played out well over the last month that did even when this season started. Like, we're not that far removed from them playing well even this year.
Yeah, I think the other piece of it is, can you be in the playoff mix? Of course, that's going to be important. Yeah. Can you have a shot of getting into the postseason? We'll see what happens. You're right. From a points perspective, they're not far off it at all. The problem is they've looked really, really bad in these losses as well. So how many different matches have you had here where they've got red cards and they're playing 10 on 11, or in some cases they've played 9 on 11? In this last matchup that they just had, you're tied 1 apiece and you lose it in extra time. 5-6 minutes in, you give up another goal. I mean, they're again, I think of this, you take a draw moving forward here just to get off this winless, everything that you technically don't get off the winless spot in that position, but you just want some momentum. And again, I'm not saying that it's not early. I'm not saying they're not going to turn it around. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm just saying that what you were able to accomplish last season, I don't want that to be this just run that they had and they got no shot of getting back to what they accomplished last season for another 5, 7, 8 years, which is not uncommon. Like, there's 30 teams in the MLS. I mean, it's not a guarantee or a lock that you're one of the top 4, 8 teams in the country.
Yeah, to your point, by the way, like San Jose in the West has 27 points.
A lot of points.
And SDFC has 11. Again, okay, you don't have to win the Western Conference, obviously, in the regular season. But that's the separation already. Vancouver, 24 points. The team that San Diego is playing, SDFC is playing this weekend, LAFC, 20 points. So, at some point, you're going to have to end this streak. I just don't know when it's going to come.
So that's a perfect example, because I think the LAFC piece of this is a great example, because this is a game.
Yeah.
Where everyone in SD, it's like, hey, I'm looking forward to that game.
Yeah.
SDFC versus LAFC. I see some of their promos and selling tickets, and you see it all over social and everything else. It's losing its power because they're struggling, right? So if there was, I'm making it up, SDSA and LAFC are 3rd and 4th right now in the standings. They're tied in points, or they're only separated by a couple of points. There is this buzz that's happening right now. There just isn't a buzz behind it. Maybe this could be the game that sparks them in the right direction. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but obviously they've been struggling.
Alex Cohen, Marquee Sports Network. He calls Cubs games. He'll have great insight as this series gets underway, coming up in just over an hour and a half between the Padres and the Cubs down at Petco. We'll get back to the Padres on the other side. We're here until 6 p.m. We've got Santana tickets to give away for you coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll give away some Santana tickets on the other side, plus get back to the Padres Hour 3. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app is next.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org. The Padres are back home to get ready for a series tonight against the Cubs. It's going to be Matthew Boyd going for Chicago and Randy Vasquez on the hill for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. In NBA news, Cooper Flagg was named Rookie of the Year today. He took in 56 out of the possible 100 votes for the award. And in other NBA news, we got 3 more first-round playoff games tonight. Starting in about 10 minutes, they're going to tip off in Orlando when they take on Detroit. At 6:30, the Thunder go for the sweep against Phoenix. And at 7:30, what's left of Minnesota will take on Denver. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
All right, final hour here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, where we will give away a pair of tickets to see Santana for Live Nation's Summer of Live, and Santana performing with the Doobie Brothers at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater August 11th. By the way, Live Nation's Summer of Live, all-in $30 tickets to this concert and tons more. That's going on April 29th through May 5th at livenation.com. How are we going to give these away as I ask this on air? We want to do it in the next 10 or 15 minutes, right? Before we break again.
Yeah.
Are we going to play some of those smooth guitar strums of Santana?
Brent, can we play their music? We're trying to figure that out at the moment.
Arguably. Or do you want Alan to sing?
Not
Santana?
on the podcast.
Right.
No. On radio, on air, live, so then they can, is that their cue? I can't sing it, but out of respect for Santana, out of respect for some of the artists out there, I want them to shine. You know what I mean?
Over you, yeah.
Yeah, I have one of the most beautiful voices that I've ever heard. Could you imagine?
Well, here's what I would say.
Yes.
Train wreck. Here's the thing. We'll give away tickets. Be listening. We're going to do it in the next 10 or 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we promised you Santana tickets. We have Santana tickets. We have Motley Crue tickets to give away later this hour. So this is a great hour if you're a concert fan. If you want to see either of those acts in concert this summer in San Diego, be listening here on San Diego Sports 760. We have Alex Cohen. I was about to call him Alan Cohen, but that'd be a cross between him and you. Alex Cohen, who interned for me in AAA baseball, actually here in Pennsylvania where I am right now. He went on to work for the Cubs and call their games on Marquee Sports Network. I went on to move to lovely San Diego and work with yourself.
You did good for yourself. You did good for yourself.
Yeah. It's been good. Like, do I want to be calling games for the Cubs right now? No, not necessarily. Having called 15 years of minor league baseball, it's a lot, man. I mean, NBA, 82 games. It's
Cubbies, that's, that's a franchise right there.
It's a franchise. I mean, they've had a lot of
that's
lows.
One of they have, but like it's kind of.
But it's the Cubs.
That's the Cubs.
Yeah, national brand.
Some of the most iconic. There's only a handful of them, I think, in Major League Baseball. That's definitely one of them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I was hoping we would hear from Craig Stammen this afternoon, and we could share that with our audience. I think we still may. Now, remember what Kevin told us earlier. Padres players were reporting later today as they got back, obviously, late yesterday from Mexico City.
Yep.
So Craig Stammen speaking with the media later today. In fact, a lot of just came out. We talked about it within the last 30 minutes. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in as the second baseman with Jake Cronenworth getting the day off. This is I don't want to use the cliche measuring stick thing. It's just two good teams. Like Padres are 18-9 and the Cubs are 17-11. So I think it's a good series to see where you stand at the end of 3 days. And if you can win this thing, you'll just feel better about the state of the Padres in 2 or 3 days.
I think there's a narrative around Major League Baseball right now with the Padres that their record, that 18-9, is not who they actually are. We just talked about Fangraphs had them at 83 wins, something along those lines, 83.5, whatever that number was. In order to start changing some of that narrative, part of this also has to do with starting to beat good teams. Cubbies are a good team, and clearly a team that the Padres faced in that wild card matchup. I think it came down to one simple thing, whether you want to simplify to this. I think if they have home field and those games are at Petco, I think they're moving on and facing the Milwaukee Brewers, but they didn't. And that's part of that has to do with collapse is too strong of a word in September, but they did not play to their potential in September. They had opportunities to do it. And if part of that narrative changes for the San Diego Padres of, well, the 18-9 start doesn't represent who they are. And by the way, there could also be a lot of those who aren't as confident about the Padres. Could it just mean that Nick Pavetta's not there? Could it mean that Joe Musgrove is not there? Could it mean the starting rotation? I mean, it doesn't have to just mean, well, they don't think the Padres are a good team. I'm sure they're taking into account some of the injuries, but the Cubs have also had a ton of injuries, and specifically to their bullpen, and they've also got off to a phenomenal start. You change the narrative a little bit when you start beating some of the better teams out there, and Cubs are one of the better teams in the NL.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. We had spent the last 2 hours. I mean, I've spent so much time over my career obsessing over the Padres, covering them from every angle, talking about them on the radio, on YouTube, wherever, social media. My bad. I'd failed to recognize for the last 2 hours, these teams met in the wild card last year. It's like with all the Mexico City and Tatis and Manny hits a couple of home runs and everything else you're dealing with in the here and now, sometimes I get so focused on what's happening right here. It's like seeing the forest through the trees. That is a very unique storyline. The Padres, to me, last October, left a lot out there. It's not that they lost the series. Every team is going to lose a series. I mean, that's just inevitable, right? When two teams play, one of them is losing. So it's not that they lost, it's the manner in which they lost. The offense once again going quiet, like they did in the 2024 postseason. Opportunities squandered, specifically late in that third game. Like you were set up to take advantage and potentially win, and they didn't. You can't make amends for that right now. All you can do is look forward. But that's fine. They don't have to go win the 2025 wild card over these 3 days in April. But that is kind of, I don't know if the team is thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it. My guess is they're probably not. But it is interesting. The last time they met, I had that very sour taste. I'm like, are you serious? 2024 ended like this, and 2025 ended the exact same way, where it's like in like a lion, out like a lamb, and left with all these questions about your offense heading into the offseason.
They have a stigma. They're not clutch, right? I think 2024, and listen, to actually be considered a world champion or a World Series contender, you need some clutch genes in there. Like, I don't care what your baseball card says. I don't care what your average is. I don't care what you've done historically. If you're going to win a World Series, or again, just make it to a World Series, they were not clutch in 2024. Clearly, they were not clutch in 2024 after Game 3. And that's where, that's when the weight starts getting really heavy, is when you're a game away from closing it out. They were not clutch against the Cubbies last year in the wild card. So, I'm with you. I don't think these guys are walking in today at Petco Park and they're saying, we're going to get the Cubbies back. All right. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think there's, from a mental perspective, they have had, moments here where I think over these last couple of years, to be a World Series champion, you got to kind of act like it. And you got to be clutch in those moments. They haven't been that. And if there's one weird way where I can sit there and, as I moped for 2 years in a row, but I could kind of accept the fact that the Padres didn't win a World Series or get to the World Series. Part of that has to do also with the fact that they just weren't clutch enough to actually represent what most champions represent.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because when I look at the Cubs, for example, heading into this series, just like go to MLB.com. This is basically a top 5 offense, depending on category, right? But they've had a very good start to their year on offense. You look at the Padres, and even including Mexico City, this team is, like, let me use the OPS, for example. On base plus slugging, they're 22nd, and the Cubs are 4th. But this goes back to the crux of the matter that I'll be talking about and you'll be talking about October 1st, 2026, if the Padres are fortunate enough to be in. If they're in with the 22nd best offense, however you want to splice it, and other teams are in with the 3rd, 5th, and 7th best offense, what's your confidence level?
They're going to be out pretty soon.
That's what we're going to be saying. So maybe that's what Fangraphs Allen is telling us, that they don't have enough horses in this lineup to, win 90-plus games. Maybe that's what it's saying.
But Fangraphs is constantly changing, right?
Yeah, it's
so
churning.
They're shifting all the time. And I think this is where maybe Fangraphs is taking this into account. They're seeing that Tatis hasn't hit a homer. They're seeing that Jackson Merrill certainly hasn't got off to the start that you're hoping for. Again, I'm talking about power, just looking at guys and what they're doing from that perspective. They're seeing that give Manny all the credit for what he just did in Mexico City, how much is being applied to that. They're seeing that the Padres, what has been their pedigree? Their pedigree has been they're trying to pitch. They have one of the best bullpens in baseball, but they're not getting enough from the plate. So whether Fangraphs is basing it off of that or they're not, they're still sitting at 18-9. And we almost, I think there's some times where we get caught in doing a show and we're kind of looking for things to maybe complain about. That happens in all sports. You're always looking for someone to complain about. The reality is, forget what Fangraphs say. Forget what anybody else thinks about the Padres. They are 18-9, and they could keep backing up what they've done so far by taking 2 or 3 from the Cubbies.
It's a good point. I mean, if they can be this team, again, all teams have flaws by and large. If you're going to have some flaws but continue to win, then I'm going to deal with the flaws. Now, there's going to be questions in October with this team, even if they have the third best offense in the sport, because I'm going to go on the radio and say, well, listen, they had a really good offense this year, but what about the postseasons in recent history? And are they going to revert? Is it going to be in their heads? So no matter what they do, there'll be those questions. I do think they could answer some of them by showing us more on that side of it, so to speak, which has been challenging. They had a good offense in 2024. They didn't in 2025. It hasn't been overly good through 27 games this year. Maybe they can answer some of those questions just by doing it on field. Guys like Toddy, Manny, Merrill. We haven't even touched on Jackson Merrill.
I know.
Merrill's in a woeful slump. That's been under the radar because of all the attention elsewhere.
Yeah, I'll go back to something that you just said. I think you said that they could have the third best offense going into the postseason. We're going to find someone to complain about. The problem is I think there is a ceiling to their offense. And I'm going to give a ton of credit. And by the way, I don't think they're anywhere close to that ceiling, but I'll give a ton of credit to where would they be without Gavin Sheets? Where would they be without Xander? Where would they be without Laureano?
Yep.
Where would they be without Camposano? Where would they be? Some of these players, Ty France has got off to a good start. So they've had players carry them that you did not think that would carry them. And I think as we do pay attention to the big picture of the Padres, it's safe to kind of have some concerns with their bats and some of their stars because there's a little bit of a trend going from an offensive perspective. It's like, all right, well, could they consistently get offense from their main players? Do the other players that have stepped up over the course of this first month of the season, are those numbers going to be there a month from now from some of those guys? It's going to be tough to depend on players of that caliber.
Shall we give away the
let's give it away, man.
Tickets? You hear that? It's me talking about giving away
I hear it.
Santana tickets.
Yes.
You hear that. Call right now. Caller 7. You have 2 free tickets to see Santana for Live Nation's Summer of Live. Call 877-767-4760. 877-767-4760. Great giveaway. Call right now. Caller 7. You are going. Santana with the Doobie Brothers, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 11th. It's Live Nation's Summer of Live. All in $30 tickets to this show and tons more April 29th through May 5th at livenation.com. Caller 7. You are going. 877-767-4760. Call right now. Alex Cohen calls Cubs games. He'll join us coming up at 5:30. We'll give away Motley Crue tickets between now and 6 p.m. Stay with us, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Alex Cohen calls games for the Cubs. Marquee Sports Network. He will join us coming up in about 10 minutes. Padres and Cubs game 1 is just over an hour away. Still kind of waiting on some audio this afternoon from Craig Stammen. If we get it, we will share it with you. We should have mentioned, or I should have mentioned, Mason Miller this weekend did set the franchise record for scoreless streak.
My God, that feels so long ago.
It feels like forever ago. He is now up to 34 2/3 innings scoreless consecutively, passing Clay Meredith. I don't know. I should have played it. Been all over the place this weekend. Clay Meredith took to social media. I think the Padres shared it. Maybe the Padres are the ones to initiate it. And he's like, "Thank you, Mason, for making me the most relevant I've been in the last 20 years." Is what he said with his son in the video. But 34 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings for Mason Miller as the Padres come home. And who knows? He didn't pitch yesterday, so maybe we see Mason Miller here tonight against the Cubs.
I know it will come to an end, but sometimes you watch players do certain things and you just assume, this is not good. I'll knock on wood, do whatever I got to do here. When Mason Miller comes in, let me kind of give you an example here. Suarez would come in. And listen, I liked Suarez. I thought Suarez did a phenomenal job for the Padres, right? But Suarez came in, and it was there was just enough there where I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to throw my seatbelt on. I'm just make sure I get that seatbelt on. This could be a very safe ride. I know the ride is just 5 minutes home, but let's make sure that seatbelt's on. Mason Miller comes to Mason Miller comes to the mound, and I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna go do some laundry. I'm going to go run some errands. Do I even need to watch this? Mason Miller is just so damn good. Of course, it's going to come to an end. Of course, he's going to give up a couple of runs. Of course, he's going to have a blown save. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he'll break the all-time record, the scoreless record. I don't know if he will or he won't. But you have kind of got to a point where it doesn't really matter what the score is. If Mason Miller is coming in, it's like, you know what? I'm just going to take a shower and not have to worry about anything. Suarez would come in. I'm like, all right, everybody buckle up. Let's, everything could go just fine. Most likely it's going to go fine, but you always knew that Suarez had it in him to potentially blow a game.
Dude, I love what you just said about, when you're watching someone do it as well as he's done it, it's almost hard to imagine how it ends. It's like when you're watching a historically good basketball team, it's like, dude, they can't be beat. Until
they're gonna find a way to win. There's a little bit of that, yeah.
But it's like all good things come to an end. I mean, it's a 73-9 Warriors team that led LeBron 3-1. And it was too good to be true until it was ultimately too good to be true. But I'm putting Mason Miller now in that category where it's like something you feel immortal, you feel invincible. We all know sports, though. I mean, you and I and our listeners, this is what we do. This is what we love. We're passionate about. And the thing with sports is
changes
some
immediately.
of it is unpredictable at the end of the day. It's never perfect. It's never perfect. Yet Mason Miller's making it seem like he's almost a perfect pitcher out there at times, which is insane.
You mentioned it was on Saturday, and so much has gone on through the weekend. And let's not forget Saturday's win. How they got that win. It was
they came back from 4 runs down.
For 4 down. So you had so much happen in these last few days. And I think we talked about it, the taste in everybody's mouth by the time yesterday ended. You're up 7-1. Are they really trying to close this game out? Or is it one of those, we're in Mexico City. We got to save some of our arms. We got 3 more games coming up against the Cubs. We got to think big picture. But you mentioned Mason Miller, and you're right. We forgot about it. By the way, your Magic, because I know that's your team, the Orlando Magic. They're up 7 early on the Pistons and have a chance to go up 3-1, a 1-8 matchup. This is your squad, so I'll just keep you posted on that.
Dude, there should be something. We said this before. I'm sorry, Pistons. You can't win the East. You're not going to. But, even trailing the Magic, this is at best for the Pistons a 6-game series. In all likelihood, if they win it, maybe it's going to have to go 7 games for them to win this series. It is weird to me how in the NBA that can play out. You can have the best team in the regular season, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they're not the greatest team in the postseason. Now, although I say that, most 1 and 2 seeds in the NBA move on, obviously. There's less variance in the NBA than there is in Major League Baseball in the postseason.
You're going to hate this because this is going to be inside Orlando Magic talk, and I know you don't want this at all.
Yeah, no.
the Magic have a really good team, and they were picked to be a lot higher before the season started, and they were decimated by injuries, and they got all their guys back. So in a weird way, the Magic should not be an 8 seed. They're definitely better than they're not the 8th worst team or the 8th best team, let's call it, in the Eastern Conference. They got players. Like they really genuinely have players. I mean, the 2 games that the Lakers played against them, they play one in LA and one in Orlando. Orlando should have won both of those games, and they didn't have arguably their best players. Franz Wagner didn't play in any of them. He's back for the playoffs. So I think there is a little bit more context to it, but I'm with you. The Pistons had the best record in the Eastern Conference. Kate Cunningham got injured. They were still really, really good. So I'm not making an excuse for the Pistons, but this to me seems more of like a second round matchup, not a first round matchup if Orlando was healthy.
By the way, guys, he was kidding. I'm not actually a Magic fan. I will say this.
Huge Magic fan. He's
I'm a fan of the city of Orlando. Here's why. And the home of the Orlando Magic, whatever it's called now. Because when the Aztecs started their run to the national championship game, it began in Orlando. And they beat Charleston and they beat Furman. So that's my last trip to Orlando, and I remember it fondly. And I probably won't be going back unless San Diego State men's basketball is going there for an NCAA tournament game.
You know what I do like about the chat and us kind of early on here working together is they have no idea. Like, I can crack a joke and they have no idea it's a joke. Like the dry humor. Like, they have no idea, you know?
And someone just asked me in the chat, do I have email? Yes, I have email.
You have email?
I'm on Earth. Yes, I have, believe it or not, in email. Let's catch up with Alex Cohen on the other side. He calls games for the Cubs on Marquee Sports Network. He'll get us primed and ready for tonight in this 3-game set between the Padres and Cubs. That's next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. The Padres and Cubs are getting set for game 1 of their series tonight down at Petco Park. It's going to be Matthew Boyd going for the Cubbies and Randy Vasquez on the hill for the Friars. First pitch is set for 6:40. In NBA news, Cooper Flagg was named Rookie of the Year today. He took 56 out of the possible 100 votes. And right now in first round playoff action with about just under 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, the Magic leads the Pistons 22-19. Coming up at 6:30, the Thunder will go for the sweep of the Suns, and at 7:30, Minnesota will take on Denver. Staples has hundreds of ways to grow your business this spring, like spectacular signs, brilliant brochures, eye-popping posters, mouth-watering menus, and more. Shop now through June 13th and save up to $150 on all your custom prints. Staples, that was easy.
All right, we're about an hour out. Padres and Cubs game 1, first meeting since the 2025 wildcard series at Wrigley Field. Schaefer and Sliwa, great to connect with a longtime buddy who also happens to call games for the Cubs on Marquee Sports Network. Alex Cohen back with us here in San Diego on 760. Alex, great to connect. Take me through this start, because everyone points to this 10-game winning streak. I think from the outside, I'd put the asterisks of all 10 games against the Phillies or the Mets, but 17-11 overall. How would you describe the starts of the year? And thanks for hopping on.
No, thanks for having me on. And whenever you can win 10 consecutive games against Major League Baseball teams, I know that the Mets are struggling. I know that the Phillies are struggling. But you look at their payrolls, you look at their talent. If you can win 10 straight against them, then you're doing something right. So I think the Cubs were playing their best baseball of the season. They won that come from behind game against the Dodgers, and then they lost 2 games against the Dodgers. So they come to your place where they haven't had that much success in the regular season over the last couple of years. But yeah, you're looking at 2 of the best teams in the National League right now playing at Petco Park. It should be a fun series.
Alex, what happened in LA? Here we are finally depending on the Cubbies, trying to get a little bit of a cushion here in the NL West. All right, I know you guys lost those final 2 games. Just kind of looking at Cubs expectations this season. What are, we sit here in San Diego and we're obviously talking about the Padres. I think what could have been the determining factor last year in the wild card, I did think it was the fact that the Cubbies had home field and those 3 games were at Wrigley. What are the expectations for the Cubbies this year, and what I'm talking more just specifically in the regular season?
Sure. Yeah. Let me answer a couple questions. What happened in LA? The Dodgers happened in LA.
Yeah.
They're the best team in baseball. They won back-to-back World Series. I'm sorry, Padres fans, but they are. I mean, they have the highest payroll in baseball. They have the most talent in baseball. They're the best team in baseball. So you expect them to win a series at home, especially after they lost the game on Friday night. They win Saturday, they win Sunday. They took care of business. And for the Cubs, if you're going to be a playoff team, you follow the equation like they did last year. You win series at home and you salvage series on the road. So I'm not expecting a Cubs sweep against the Padres in San Diego this week, but I'm expecting them to take a game or 2. I think for what you're looking at the Cubs, you need to get the bullpen healthy. You got to get the bullpen healthy. I think that they are an incomplete grade until they can get Daniel Palencia back. They just got Phil Maton back until you can get Hunter Harvey back. Because if those guys can't get healthy and you can't get reinforcements up, you're only as good as your bullpen takes you, in my opinion. So I think they got to get their bullpen healthy. But overall, I think they're right around where they need to be at this time of the season. And they've done it without, Michael Busch playing like Michael Busch and without Pete Crow Armstrong playing like Pete Crow Armstrong offensively. So I'm pretty encouraged.
Which is interesting. Alex Cohen is with us, Marquee Sports Network, as the Padres get ready for the Cubs. There's some similarities, not in terms of the offensive star, because the Cubs have been much better than the Padres, but some of the Padres stars have really struggled. Obviously, Fernando Tatis Jr. hasn't homered. Jackson Merrill has been mired in a slump. Even Manny Machado, he hit 2 home runs yesterday, has hit 4 on the season. Is it surprising the offensive start the Cubs have had, considering they haven't gotten some of those contributions from some of the quote-unquote bigger names?
Well, I think Moises Ballesteros has certainly helped. When you have the top hitting prospect come up and he hits around 400, I mean, that certainly helps mitigate some of the struggles for Pete Crow Armstrong and Michael Busch. But Michael Busch really came alive during the homestand. And if you look at Pete Crow Armstrong's stats over the last 12 games, he's been pretty good. So half the season, he's been pretty good. The on-base percentage over those 12 games is right around 390. The OPS is right around 800. So half the season he's been good offensively, and half the season he's just been good defensively. So, but I think if you can get Pete back to swinging the way that he did in the first half of the 2025 season. Remember, that started during the West Coast road trip against the Dodgers and against the Padres. So maybe you guys are good luck here for Pete.
Yeah, we don't want that to be the case. We definitely can't have that happen. Now, Alex Cohen taking some time here, giving us some insight from the Chicago Cubs perspective. The Cubs and the Padres, obviously, tonight, part of Marquee Sports Network, and joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. The pitching matchup tonight. So just to kind of give you a little background as well, one of the best pitchers for the Padres is doing such a phenomenal job. Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres. Tell us a little bit about how Matthew Boyd has done so far this season and what you expect from him, what Padre fans should expect from him.
Well, with Matthew, I mean, he's the second start back coming off a biceps injury. He was on the injured list for 2 weeks. He basically missed 2 starts, then a rehab start, and his last start in Chicago was a little bit different. I mean, it was 44 degrees. It was cold, and he really battled. His first inning was really good. His second inning, he really struggled. He battled in the third. He battled in the fourth, came out in the fifth. So I think if you look at Matthew Boyd, he was an all-star last season. He had such a good start. And he's had a couple really good starts this season. The opener against the Nationals wasn't his best, but if you look at the strikeout numbers, they're pretty high for Matthew. And he's still a guy that can ramp it up to 95, 96 miles per hour and get a lot of swing and miss. So I think you've seen some inconsistencies for Matthew. I think that he's just starting to get back healthy. And when you're pitching in 74-degree weather and sunny in San Diego, that'll make the body feel better.
Alex Cohen with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa. Obviously, the Cubs just saw Kyle Tucker. I don't know if we talked to you in the offseason or not. What was your reaction to the Tucker deal with the Dodgers? Is that surprising at all or no, because it's the Dodgers?
No, because it's the Dodgers. And he's the type of player that would get that type of money from them, especially in that lineup where you can be supported by Shohei Ohtani, you could be supported by Mookie Betts, you could be supported by Freddie Freeman. And my expectation is that he was going to go to LA and be a 30-30 player, because he definitely has that ability. If you look at the season that he had last year, especially the first half before he got injured, he was really good. I mean, he was an all-star in 2025. His first half was great. He struggled in the second half. He got hurt in the second half. But if you look at the season that he had before that in Houston, he played, 80 games? And he had 29 home runs and 30 stolen bases. So I think that Kyle has so much potential, and his ceiling is so high that, he got $60 million a year from the Dodgers. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I think I have already a good idea, but just it's different in San Diego when you're in the NL West and you have to face the Dodgers 13 times, and they've really owned the division, and that's including San Francisco and obviously Colorado and Arizona. How do people in Chicago, look at where baseball is today and seeing some of the spending with the Dodgers? I mean, it's not like the Cubbies don't spend. I think both the Cubs and the Padres are top 10 in payroll. So, it's not like the franchises aren't spending anything. What is the perspective of a franchise in Chicago that's looking at just baseball overall and obviously the discrepancies in some of these payrolls?
Look, I can't imagine the fans are happy with the Dodgers winning back-to-back World Series and seeming like they have an unlimited payroll, but they're one of 30. I mean, they are not the norm. They are the exception. And I think, most fan bases, I think the Padres unfortunately understand that. And I think the Cubs understand that. And it's not like we're talking about two mid-market teams right now. You talked about their payroll, for the Padres and the Cubs. They're both in the top 10. Like, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They've given out big contracts. They've extended young players. You guys did it with Jackson Merrill. The Cubs did it with Pete Crow Armstrong. The Cubs just re-signed Nico Horner to a long-term deal. He's the fourth highest paid second baseman in baseball history. You signed Alex Bregman. You signed Dansby Swanson. So they are allocating funds to these players. Is it a $750 deferred money deal like they did for Shohei Ohtani? No. Is it $240 million over 4 years to Kyle Tucker? No. But the common denominator is that's the Dodgers. That's not the other team. So I think that the Dodgers are the exception, not the norm. And I think the other 29 teams are playing in a similar ballpark. And I think the Padres and the Cubs are doing a lot better than a lot of those teams, in my opinion.
I wanted to ask you about the Padres as the Cubs get ready for the Padres. What is your perception? On the outside, they have this crazy sale. I mean, $3.9 billion. You look around baseball, like the Rockies' valuation was like $1.75 billion, and the Rays is like $1.7 billion. The Padres go for $3.9. They keep spending. They keep winning. They're kind of unique, aren't they? Being in a quote-unquote smaller market, but spending high valuation, and they've been able to I don't know, be a steady franchise here over the last handful of years.
You know what? Yeah, $3.9 billion, John. I thought that you were going to make an
That's
offer
what I
for
thought.
this. You got
Everybody
that type of
thought that.
cash, right?
Everybody thought
Right?
I'm not.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I got
it.
more than that.
No, I mean, with the Padres, I mean, it's such a desirable spot. I mean, they're an organization that's been really good over the last decade. Petco Park is one of the best, if not the best ballpark in the entire United States in Major League Baseball. I mean, it's definitely top 5. And then you have San Diego, which is in Southern California. It's 75 degrees and sunny every day. It's baseball perfection. And I think that the Padres have done a really nice job, when you lock up a guy like Jackson Merrill and you lock up a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. and you lock up Manny Machado and Xander, and like you have guys that can be faces for your organization, then you make that trade for Mason Miller. Like, how can you give up so much for a closer? Well, he's the best pitcher in baseball. So you're able to make, those type of acquisitions and take a risk, and the risk pays off. So if I'm a Padres fan, I'm really happy the direction that the organization is going in when it comes to talent. And then hopefully with the sale, just the direction of the ownership group, I would be really encouraged.
Alex, appreciate you taking time for us, man, in San Diego. Hope all is well, and let's do it again soon, all right?
Shape, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, great stuff. Alex Cohen, who, again, we didn't get into it because I don't know if our listeners care, but I care. He probably interned for me for 2 years. He was a student at Indiana.
Okay.
He's from... Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, no, I thought that was Alex. I thought he was still on the line. I mean, I know you are. That's hilarious. I thought he was like correcting
You looked at me
story.
into my soul, into my on YouTube with the eyes. Are you still there? I'm like, I'm right here. Where did I go?
About Alex, because that's hilarious. But he interned for me for 2 years. He was a student at Indiana. He's like, we have the worst football team in the country.
Oh,
woe is me. Look at him now.
Yeah, you know what? That's
right.
That's unfreaking believable.
Calling Cubs games. Indiana's winning national championships in football. How? In what world is that happening? So,
and his team cheated in the wild card. Xander, that was a ball. It was a ball.
Correct.
Yes.
But it does prove sports, man. Who would have ever thought?
I know.
You're
right about that. 100%.
Sports.
By the way, listen, can we say, I mean, aren't there people across the country saying, was San Diego State in the finals against Connecticut?
Right.
Yeah, just never freaking know.
Never know. Let's, on the other side, give away tickets to see Motley Crue. So let's do that coming up next as we get you ready for the Padres and the Cubs. Game 1 of a 3-game series. We are both still here. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for our friends at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and you're going to love their hotel and spa at Hamul Casino Resort. Trust me, you'll experience elevated luxury with a refined hotel stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Hamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination, and you can take your stay to the next level because they have exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. And while you're there, enjoy all of their food favorites, including Tony Gwynn's Endless Dining. You can enjoy San Diego's favorite endless dining experience. That's Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub. In addition, make sure to get to Hamul 23 with their lobster buffet every day. Enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30 a.m., featuring made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, final time today on Schaefer and Sliwa. Let's do a giveaway here. This isn't the final time, but it's the final time today. Call right now, caller 5. You've got 2 free tickets to see Motley Crue. It's Live Nation Summer of Live. Caller 5, 2 free tickets to see Motley Crue. Call 877-767-4760 and do it right now. 877-767-4760. Caller 5, you've got 2 free tickets to see Motley Crue. That's September 18th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. It's Live Nation Summer of Live, all in $30 tickets to this show and tons more going on Wednesday, April 29th through May 5th at livenation.com. And again, if you want those 2 free tickets to see Motley Crue September 18th, call 877-767-4760. All right, Alan, what do you wanted to share something?
Yeah. I thought about you on Friday and Saturday.
Does this have anything to do with the NBA playoffs?
The NBA playoffs is kind of woven into the fabric of our conversation.
Yes.
Remember I told you on Friday I went out and bought a bag of peanuts, and it's a Padres branded peanuts. I got at Sprouts. And then you went into this, you lost it. I've never seen anybody lose it the way you did. You're like, well, where did you eat it? No way you ate it inside. You got to eat it out in, I don't know what you said. You probably said Big Bear. Like you have to be out in the woods in order to eat these because.
I would eat them outside, yeah.
Because they're a little bit of a mess.
It's a mess.
So Friday, I think I sent you a photo of the bag of peanuts, right?
Yeah.
Brother, when I tell you it was a mess. I mean, there was a point. Yes. Yep. The SD peanuts there, if you can see them at all. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Okay. So and we're watching John is showing it up on YouTube, right? Schaefer and Sliwa, if you want to follow us on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. When I tell you that by the time I was done eating, I had to my shirt, I had to almost fold it over and walk outside so I can just kind of brush everything off. Do you think that stopped me from going back in for some more peanuts? John has a thing where he thinks peanuts, eating them indoor is like I don't know, it's like a sin or something. I love peanuts. And if I'm watching sports, specifically a baseball game, I would like to have some peanuts. And not only Friday, because I couldn't get through the whole bag. Saturday as well, I had to get through the bag as well. And it was a mess.
Can I make this point? I respect it. Because I wouldn't do it. So it's like, I don't know. There's something about that it's just, I'm very appreciative that you're able to do it.
That you're not as sloppy as I am?
No, here's the thing. Here's the other thing I didn't even mention to you. And I've said this on air a ton over the years, but not with you. I'm not going to eat peanuts any day on broadcasting. And you might say, why? Because I would refer to it as a bad broadcast food. Because those little shells on the peanut, I'm not talking about the shell itself, but the thing that surrounds the peanut, whatever the heck that is.
Great.
It'll get stuck in your throat or your teeth, and then you're wanting to just cough constantly on air. I won't get anywhere near a peanut within 24 hours of doing a show.
This really tells us just how unathletic we are, because usually athletes, they stay away from certain types of foods.
Yeah.
Maybe there's certain stretches that they want to make sure, stretches that they avoid, workouts that they avoid. We're talking about having a peanut, and because, broadcasting or talking, that it might get into our throat or our teeth. Shows you the kind of athletes that we are. I did think of you because it was just a mess. I mean, if you look at the carpet, it was just.
Did you vacuum?
Oh, just a mess. I don't think I have the proper vacuum for the mess that took place. You got to play through it. That's the thing, John, that you got to understand. Sometimes things in life are just not going to go the way you thought. You got to play through it.
No, I respect your passion for eating peanuts in a shell.
It just goes with baseball, man. They just jive.
It does, but it's one of those things. It's for me, it goes with baseball at a game. I'm trying to think of something else that's like that, where it's so different in a different setting for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I know what you mean. Okay, it's not a good example, but there's certain foods you eat at a ballpark that you're not typically eating at home. You're not typically eating. So I think I know what you're talking about. There's a scene that's typically set where you're like, I want this food. I want buttered popcorn when I go to a movie, even though you can have
buttered
it.
popcorn at home. Thank you. That's perfect.
Oh yeah. No, I'll stop popcorn at home. Of course, man. You watch a movie. It's not as good, but you watch a movie, you're still putting it on.
Yeah, like to Brent's point, like if I go to a movie, which I've done like twice, the last movie I saw was like Secret Life of Pets. Okay. So
classic.
But it's Titanic is what it is. It's the third day Titanic.
Yep.
My point is the box of like Milk Duds that's huge that you get at a movie theater. That to me is more appealing in the theater.
It's a good point.
Than if I take the box home and try to consume it. It's almost like I can get away with it more in the theater.
Yeah. No one's eating Junior Mints outside of a movie theater.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Or people are buying the, like Brent could tell us about these like special cups that are like 88 ounces, and for whatever reason they're acceptable in a movie theater, but they're not probably at home.
Yeah, no,
every movie has those
true.
now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So
okay. So, anyways, I just want to share that with you real quick because I know we're coming to a close here. Your Pistons are up 6. So I know.
I thought it was a Magic guy.
You were, but you kind of go with how things are going.
I'm a Pistons guy. I've always been a Pistons guy.
I know you have.
Ever since they went up 6 in Game 4 in Orlando.
All right, Padres Cubbies tonight. Chance to kind of get off to I'm interested to see how Randy Vasquez, he was phenomenal. If you remember in Colorado, he was coming off a bad game, was phenomenal when they took on the Rockies. See if we can ride Randy Vasquez momentum here moving forward tonight.
Dude, he's got a 188.
Oh, he's been brilliant.
He's got a 188, and to your point, his last start's in Colorado. Now, his Cubs offense is legitimate.
Yeah, I was just going to say this is
Cubs
probably the
offense
toughest.
Is legit. Like another night where, you might not, like if you're just relying on Vasquez and Mason Miller and the back of your bullpen, hey, we'll just beat him 3-2. Maybe, or maybe not. Like you got to have another out in the deck, so to speak. If you got to beat someone 6-4, and they've done it to their credit. If you need to overcome a 2-0 deficit to Chicago tonight, for example, go out and do it. And they've done it to their credit. But I'm curious to see what the series looks like beginning tonight. And again, are the Padres sleepwalking? Maybe not tonight. But at some point this series, with all the travel, the 3-city trip, the Mexico City ending to it, what do they look like here tonight behind Randy Vasquez? Looking for win number 19 on the season.
Let's go, SD.
Are you going down there tonight?
No, I know. And I thought about it as well. I know. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's the right day.
Maybe tomorrow. Great stuff, my friend. Let's do this again tomorrow at 3 p.m. If you missed anything today, you know where to go, sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app. Great job by everyone involved today. Brent Sperry, Alan Sliwa. I'm John Schaefer. I don't know if it's great by me, but whatever. I've been here for it. This has been Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace. See you tomorrow.